Term 4, week 3, night 1, and we start on familiar territory on the platforms of Gentlemen Sim Racing Club across Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. We head back to one of our favourites, the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit down there at the back end of Victoria, of course, right by the sea, right by the ocean, ready for round 3 of the Super 2 and Super 3 series. Of course, we'll bring you the Super 2 split tonight. There will be discussions had about how many of the Super 3 split races we bring you across the course of the season now that the reception was so good in the opening week of school that we had to divvy them up into 2 splits once more. Good evening, everybody. Zach Caban alongside Liam Banks and the returning Adam Lavis. We got him back a week earlier than we expected. With you for Monday Night Motorsport on the platforms of Gentlemen Sim Racing Club for Player 1 Sim Gear Super 2, and of course it'll be followed by Waste Options GT3, and we are going sprint racing there tonight from WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna, Seca, and we are very excited about that. There are the track and weather conditions for you. Beautiful day in Victoria, sitting on 24 degrees the ambient temperature, and that's going to flick over and muck me up now because we're going into the 19 degrees is the ambient, 24 on track. We are at 12:40 in the afternoon. Clock moving. Still, it's stationary. It's just going in normal time rather than going twice as fast as it would in the real world. It's going as it would in the real world. So there we go. Exciting times there. 4.5 kilometres this course, and we are hugely excited about what might unfold here if what we saw at Monza last week is any guide. There are the championship points for you, and they are the Super 3 standings coming into this round. And that's Bradley Curtin. No, there's the Super 2 standings. We'll go with them, hey? A bit like Bathurst, one manufacturer dominating the top end of town. 116 plays, 102 Andrew Duck plays, Greg Favell 93 for Jason Spriggs, and Michael Hammerman on 85, 82 for Jaden Green makes up the top 5. Then Sagasa, Harris, Snadden, Roffey, and Merritt making up the top 10. The front row for tonight's race will pit Greg Favell alongside Anthony Visma. The second row is Jason Spriggs and John Merritt. Third row, Tim Harris and Mark Horton. Fourth row, Michael Hammond and Tim Nicol. Fifth row, Joshua Robertson and Stephen Varga. And we should point out as well there that there's 8 Commodores and 2 Falcons in the top 10. Then we go back to Green, Dutch, Buchanan, Baldwin, Snadden and Tegel, Oliver and Roffey, Hughes and Sagasa making up the top 20. Then Gary Cousins, Paul Wood, Nick Fodiatis, Matt Schmidtke, David Christensen, and Pete Maxson making up the field. Liam Banks, good evening to you. Looking forward to your insights here as we get going. I'll come to you in just a moment. And good evening to Adam Lavis as well. Looking forward to getting his insights and reflections on the last few days. Revs right, cars raw, ready to rock and roll. Old school legacy supercar racing for Player 1 Sim Gear. It's round 3 of the Super 2 series from the gateway to hypothermia. Trouble on the main straight. That would cause some carnage. That could be a safety car. Look at them. Rolled across the racetrack. Quite a few cars in trouble there. Quite a few battered and bruised. Everybody's managed to drive away from the incident, somewhat surprisingly. But there were some big winners and some big losers out of that one. The biggest winner is Will Buchanan, up 4 spots into the top 10 now. Michael Hammond up 2. So he hasn't qualified the best so far this season, Liam Banks, but by GE races well, and we saw evidence of that last week.
Yeah, he really does. He's a very impressive race. And there's another contact there. That's Jason Spriggs getting touched by the pulse tuning entry. I think that might have been Merritt given the livery. Always going to have trouble into that hairpin on the first corner on the first lap. So we'll have to get a replay to see exactly what happened there. Looked like a case of coming up the inside and the car on the outside, just not seeing Merritt there. But these two have really broken away, haven't they? Already 2 seconds down to third, and that's a move for the lead. It's ambitious. Oh, it's not quite going to come off.
Not yet. Too early.
Favell holds the lead.
Good to see no Hamilton-Russell-esque nonsense going on there in the opener. To proceedings tonight. Don't forget, off to WeatherTech Raceway, we're going to take for GT3 as soon as we're done here. Round onto the main straight. There will be a splash and dash required here as we go. Lap times will be around about that 1 minute 30 marker. And there are 8 threes in 24, so 2 laps every 3 minutes gets us to 16. Probably looking at 16, 17 laps tonight, although the rundown pit lane here is exceptionally long. So if we get to 17, it'll be by the skin of our teeth. Round the outside at turn 1, Josh Robertson, if you don't mind. Trying for the inside at 2 at the southern loop. Goes to P9, nicely done. Back to where he started. Dane Snadden up 5, Braden Sagasser up 9. Gary Cousins up 8, and David Christensen and Pete Natson both up 10 spots. The biggest movers on the opening lap, we've already seen Shane Roffey, Ryan Tegel, Paul Wood, Jaden Green, Matt Schmidtke off track. Actually, Matt Schmidtke's not going to take any further part in the race, I wouldn't imagine. He's off the circuit, struggling to get back on by the looks of things. Can we get a shot of Matt Schmidtke there, potentially Adam Lavis? Just to see what the hell he's up to at the moment. Yeah, he's limping the car back to pit lane, up through the hay shed, up towards the southern loop, and he's about to be lapped, so he may as well stay off the real estate, off the bitumen for the moment. Andrew Dutch in pit lane has been to 225. Everybody else has managed to get their way back out onto the racetrack. So Dutch is on the tow road. Everybody else in pit lane on their own accord. And will that cost them? Will that result in them receiving an invoice at the end of proceedings here, Liam Banks? Will they have to transit pit lane again? Only time will tell.
Yeah, it could be close. I imagine they will have to, but that's a gut feel more than being any sort of actual logic or numbers that I've seen. Interesting to see Merritt there right behind Stefan Varga, I should say, and Tim Nicole there in 4th. These guys, they're in a battle for 3rd with Hammond, who's just ahead of them. That gap to 1st and 2nd out to 3.2 seconds. So really, Favel and Visma, despite battling as we saw into at the top of the hill, they have absolutely checked out. And then you've got this battle pack of Hammond, Nicole, Varga and Merritt. That's 4 drivers there. And then just a little bit detached is Tim Harris. But if these 4 start battling too much, Harris is going to pull everybody down to 12th into this battle. And 3rd to 12th will be a live racetrack. That's going to be very, very interesting. That's an interesting graphic for the stream being live to the zombie. But yeah, as you can see, everything just calming down a little bit now that the cars have got into a bit more of a rhythm. We're not seeing those dive bombs that we saw in the first couple of laps, and it'll be interesting to see whether that changes once we get into the last five minutes and once everyone starts making their pit stops.
Up over Lukey Heights and down once more. And we've got Stephen Varga on screen there at the moment. You'll notice a few retro throwback type liveries here tonight. And that is one of them, one of the more iconic ones of the late 90s, early noughties. Round onto the main straight. Don't be confused, ladies and gentlemen, the liveries have the old numbers, and the numbers on the windscreen and on the windows have the correct numbers that they'll be identified by on our broadcast tonight. Down the inside, here comes Brady Baldwin. That's tight and close for comfort, but he gets the job done and goes to P11.
Brady Baldwin in his first GSRC race for a while, if his comments on social media to be believed, and having a good go at it so far. Qualified in 14th, he's up to 11th with that nice move past Sagasa, who we've seen drop races right at the front of a few of our series in GSRC, so he's keeping some pretty heady company there.
Plenty of overtaking opportunities around here. It's known for close racing. It's known for dishing out terrific GSRC moments and thrillers. We've seen them in a vast array of categories. It is one of the general favourites among the cohort of GSRC club members, and at 5.5 minutes into this 20% of the way there. We're on lap 4. We're watching Tim Nicol up over Lukey Heights. +4 for him so far, +5 for Stephen Varga. Mick Fodiatis unfortunately caught up in all of the garbage at the start here. Let's go. Uh-oh. Did well to avoid it, Fodiatis. And in fact, to be fair to everybody, there was far less carnage than what it sounded like there was coming through the effects mic.
To be fair, I think there might have been more carnage just out of shot.
There was Andrew Dutch across then. Bang, bang, in the arca. And that's why he had to get on the tow rope. He was going nowhere with that.
Listen, how much of a touch did he get there versus trying to move over on his own accord? Couldn't really make out from those pictures. We could spend all night trying to dive into that though, and there's just too much going on the track, particularly when there's a live battle for first between Visma and Favel. That gap has not been over 3/4 of a second since the race began. It's currently sat at 3/10, so Favel's sitting close enough to Visma that if he takes one wide entry, gets it slightly wrong in any corner, has a bit of a touch, Vel is going to be there to try and benefit from it. And with these cars, it's not like an open wheeler where you need to get it nice and clean and no touching. You usually just get your door panel alongside theirs and just scrape yourself along until you're ahead, which just means overtaking is so much easier. And there's a bit more leeway given to any contact in the race. And that was not great from Visma. Vel's going to be right on his tail as they exit the final corner onto stopping the straight.
Snowden down the inside to P9. Can he hold it on the exit of 10? Around 11, around the outside. Have a look at Dane Snowden in 9th place. Nicely, cleanly done. Gets the better of Will Buchanan. Brady Baldwin wants a piece of this as well. Around the outside we go. Snowden's been passed on the inside of turn 12. And it's going to be a 2 for the price of 1 job is Baldwin as he play up the outside. He goes. Thanks for coming. Back down the inside. Snowden wants to go. Baldwin chops him off. Have a look at that from Brady Baldwin. Geez, near millimetres in that. And Baldwin salvages 10th.
And he's off. He's got it wrong.
Oh, bang. Good evasive action taken by not just Brady Baldwin, but also Braden Gasser. I think it might have been in behind him. That was very nicely done. There's Michael Hammond. Now up to 3rd. Mikey's on a charge.
Yeah, and almost being pushed through that corner through by Nicole. Don't know if it was a bit of a block pass or what was going on there. Nicole almost tapping him again in the second hairpin. I think Hammond's been in 3rd place for a little while now. Or did he get Nicole in the last lap or 2? I think he's been there for a little while. He's been bending from Nicole, Merritt and Varga. I believe he might actually be a bit of a bottleneck for these drivers because they are losing time hand over fist to Visma and Vel. And that's Visma and Vel going side by side for the southern loop. Nice move there from Visma. And this is Nicole and Hammond. Go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, Nickel up the outside, but Hammond wanted to hold sway on the inside, and look who's going with him. John Merritt as well, but Rickle's going to have too much power. And sweep across from the outside to cover Hammond off for the moment. Hammond's immediately got to get on the defensive. Look at John Merritt trying to go round the outside. Oh no, Merritt's gone too wide, and unfortunately left the door wide open for Stephen Varga to come charging on through. Good 4-way fight. This is live as you look at it, ladies and gentlemen. 9.5 minutes gone. We're on lap 7 at the island, and there's Nickel defending the inside. Hammond wanting to go the outside to turn 4 to middle corner, and up and under from Michael Hammond. Race class 101 at the island. Will he take Varga with him? Yes, no. Nickel gets across to cover that off. Through side area one more time. Merritt lurking in the shadows as well. But Hammond has 3rd. And look at how much real estate has been put between Visma and Favel at the top end of town, 1st and 2nd. We'll get a shot of them a little bit later on because there's nothing in that. And then this pack of 4 cars. It is 6 seconds between the leaders and 3rd.
Yeah, they've got a really good lead, and they're looking like they're going to have a good gap to drop into when they take their pit stops. There's a lovely 9-second gap between Gary Cousins and Nick Foniadis in 12th and 13th. And I'm thinking at the moment that those 2 leaders, when they pit, might just fall into that gap and have some lovely clean air to drive in, which is reducing the opportunities for these guys to catch back up. They really need there not to be a clean gap for the top 2 to hop into, and to hope that somehow they get caught up in something, and it gives them an opportunity to catch them, because that's 6 seconds, 6.5 seconds now. It's just going to be too much to catch in the remaining 40 minutes of the race. We're almost we're approaching half distance, and yeah, that is too big a gap to hope to claw back through pure race pace on the end to what we've seen so far. However, that does not mean the battle for 3rd is going to be any less intense than the battle for 1st and 2nd. Everybody wants to get on that podium, and none more so than Nicole, who's basically pushing Hammond around the racetrack at this moment, but can't find a way through, such as Hammond's defensive masterclass that he is putting on. So often we see Hammond being the aggressive one. It's nice to actually watch him trying to defend a position he's usually moving forward. Interesting to see what he does in defense, and doing a stout job so far. Merritt one to watch at the back of this group. We've seen him have superb pace across a range of machinery in the GSRC across a number of seasons now. So don't bet on him making his way through this group if and when it pleases him to do so. The good thing for these guys is they have managed to drop the group behind them a little bit, and it's no longer a group, and Steven Varga becomes the first to peel away and go for an early pit stop. Has he noticed a gap that he can drop into? And that's Nicole off the track. Oh, manages to pull it. That is evidence of the new grass model in iRacing. Previously, around Phillip Island, you hit the grass there, you would have been in the wall.
And speaking of off-track alerts, Braden Sagassa's got one. So too David Christensen. So too Jacob Hughes. So there's been a little bit of argy-bargy further back in the field. Varga and Sagassa to pit lane. Everybody else flying on. Only half a second separates Visma and Favell. This is what happened to Hughes. Up over the top. Down into MG. Uh-oh. Christensen ended up being a sacrificial lamb in all of that. Hughes might wear the wrap of race control, but at the end of the day, it was only a lock-up. This is what happened to Sagassa on the way into pit lane. Uh-oh. That will be a penalty for him, no doubt. Because that's an unsafe entry into pit lane. Actually, no, it looks like he might have got away with it, boys. My apologies, I stand corrected. 14.43 seconds.
Yeah, how often in our time together commentating, Zach and Adam, have we seen drivers getting it wrong on pit entry or pit exit because people just don't practice it enough? Because you only do it once in a race, maybe twice in one of the longer GSRC races. It doesn't come across as important, but getting it wrong there is just as costly as getting it wrong anywhere else. You only do it once, but you've got to get it right. Then we've seen Sagassa there, whether it's just a mistake or whether it was something you just didn't practice enough, losing a heap of time there if you didn't get a penalty. And the penalties in iRacing are absolutely brutal when it comes to pit entry and exit. Do not reflect the real world very well in that at all. And so you have to be very, very careful because it can absolutely ruin your race. And indeed, even the very best of the GSRC, we see them making mistakes. A few races being decided by not putting on the speed limiter in the GT3s, where we have the very dominant Matty Dench. And so it just shows you that it's something that all drivers in the GSRC get wrong from time to time. And the only way you can battle it is to practice your pit entry and your pit exit, just like any other part of the racetrack.
So 14 minutes gone, we're past halfway distance. Anthony Visma on lap 10 leads it from Greg Favell. Tim Harris has jumped up into third place. Robertson, Will Buchanan, Dane Snadden, Nick Fodialis top 7. But we know it's some of our Tim Nicol off the road and Pete Natson as well. Tim Nicol off the road and Pete Natson as well. There they are, Southern Loop. It happens all the time, doesn't it? As these guys come back out onto the racetrack, it happens all the time. Matt Schmidt still showing in pit lane as well. 1 minute 39, he's been stationary for. Andrew Dutch out of the race on lap 1. Oh, he just sent Pete. He just sent Pistol. Oh no. That's terrible. That's unfortunate because up until that point, Nicol was having a great run, but he's sacrificial lamb in all of that now.
Yeah, the Southern Loop, such a difficult corner because there's less grip wide than there is on the inside. So if you do get wide, it's so hard to pull it back in. It's not one you want to be going too wide through, ideally. And you can just see there, Pete trying to keep a narrow line as much as possible and having the car on the inside. I need to see it again to determine whether Pete needed to leave space or not. But it's just a case of the dynamics of that corner. You don't want to leave any room if you can get away with it at all, because going wide around there is such a penalty because it's just so hard to get that corner right at the best of times, let alone when you got someone on your inside. Now we're watching Snadden getting it wrong. There's a few drivers getting it wrong now, and I wonder if it's drivers starting to look for pace as they try to really improve their standings because...
Oh!
Take it away, Zach.
There you go. Tim Nicol. And just behind him, of course, was Pete Natson. Those two glued together at the moment. They were caught up in an incident a lap ago. They've got back on the track, and just in a manner of speaking there, whilst they were trying to get by, I think it might have been Josh Robertson returning to the racetrack from pit lane. There was bare centimetres in it. 16.25 minutes gone. We're on lap 11. Visma into pit lane. Will Favell follow?
He does.
Yes, is the answer to that.
So
Greg Favell and Anthony Visma running the same strategy at the moment. No real surprise to learn that.
No, and almost no time between them when they entered pit lane. It's going to be who can hit their markers better. If you hit your markers better, you're going to get a slightly better pit stop time, and that could be the difference tonight for who gets the win, because they are so close together. It's only half a second. Half a second can easily be made up or lost if you don't quite get your your stopping in the pit lane quite right.
17 minutes gone, we're on lap 12, and we've got Greg Favell leading. Round they come onto the main straight. Fodiatis has jumped up into second spot, but we know he's yet to stop. Everybody else, bar Pete Matson, has now stopped, and also Jacob Hughes. The field is cleansed apart from that, but we know that those three that I've mentioned aren't going to factor in the equation here in the grand scheming of things. Now, I saw something there earlier about Streamlabs. Adam Lavis, I'll bring you in at this point in time if I can. Firstly, good evening. Secondly, welcome back. Thirdly, is it your end or my end that's flying up the time? Can I talk to Adam at the moment?
What do you mean? What's playing up?
Well, I was going to say I had to refresh my timing screen, so I wasn't sure because it froze. I wasn't sure if it was because of something happening at your end or my end. That's it.
Oh, it freezes. It's normally just because it's refreshing its cache.
Copy. All good. Thank you. Liam was able to pick up that Favell and Visma went in at the same time, but I never saw the red light come on, so I knew that I had a problem. All as well.
Since then, Visma's down in 5th. Favell's in
yes.
the lead.
And Visma was, the reason for that lead is that Visma was stationary for 22 seconds. So what the hell's going on there, please? Meanwhile, John Hotlap Merritt has proven that he will more than likely live up to the namesake, because he's punched out a 1:27.972, the fastest side of the race thus far. Now Nick Fodiatis comes to pit lane. We've got a three-way fight here for 4th place. Visma, Merritt, and also in behind them, actually no, they're chasing, of course, Mike and Hammond. So Hammond and Visma, and also Merritt, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. My apologies. And we're on lap 13. 19 minutes gone, 6 minutes to go. Phillip Island, gateway to hypothermia. Round 3 of the player wants to do this series. This is Anthony Visma coming to pit lane. This will explain why he's stationary for as long as he was.
Yeah, overshooting him.
No, it wasn't him that overshot. It was Favell that overshot.
He may have had it on. He may have left it on full tank. He may not have set his fuel, so he may have just put full tank of fuel in.
I think you're right.
And now the Knights have gone from bad to worse for Jaden Green, car 24 there on screen, as you can see. 10-second penalty coming his way. He's down in 24th anyway, so it will matter very little, because he'll be the last of the classified finishers anyway at this stage. Meanwhile, 3rd is still very much up for grabs. Jacob Hughes is going to pick up a 10-second penalty for a starting infringement with David Christensen. Lap 14, Michael Hammond. We've got GT3 coming up from Laguna Seca again as well, ladies and gentlemen. Looking forward to that. John Merritt picked up a 10-second penalty for contact with Jason Spriggs. And who was in the dirt? My goodness! Anthony Visma, 2 wheels in the grass, trying to squeeze by Michael Hammond, and does so! Now it's not going to factor in this fight. Will he let Hammond go, or will he want to race? He wants to race. He forces the issue around the outside at Southern Loop. Now on the run down to Steiner Corner. A 5-second penalty for Brady Baldwin as well for contact with Braden Sagassa earlier in the race. Race control filtering updates through to us thick and fast at the moment. We'll try and stay across all of that. Hammond defends on Merritt. Going back out in pursuit of Visma. Forget about the leaders, they're gone. Greg Favell's about to chalk up a very, very comfortable victory here. And as was pointed out in the comments by Josh Zuno, 1:27.858 for Greg Favell. Get out of here. That's an extraordinary number. 14th lap, up over Lukey Heights. Now, keep an eye on the clock. Leaders coming back to the start, finish straight. 3 to go this time by the line. 3 3/4 minutes to go. 3 to go by the line this time by. We are going to 17, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to 17. Down the main straight. Up the outside goes Merritt. Thanks for coming. Michael Hammond surrenders. Not so voluntarily. I'm going to run down to turn 1. Oh boy. Hammond has all of a sudden slotted to 5th, but that will become 4th if he just stays there and bides his time, because Merritt's got an invoice coming his way. Varga's under pressure from Visma. So we've got an active battle for 2nd and an active battle for 4th. Varga is under pressure from Visma. Visma going back out in pursuit of what he had earlier in the piece, having been left stationary for an extra 11 seconds than most of the men around him.
And if we're right in our suspicions that it's because he's taken on a full tank of fuel, he'll be carrying on a lot more weight than everybody else around him, which is a lap time penalty, and still he's managed to cruise up to the back of Hammond, overtake him, and then cruise up to the back of Varma, such is his pace. It's last lap at 128.3 compared to 129s for those around him. And there he is, there's the move.
Up around the outside. Whoa, look at that. Varga goes to the inside. Visma wants to go around the outside and force the issue. Have a look at that for commitment. 9 straight. White flag in the air next time by the line. This is the penultimate lap. These blokes got 2 laps to sort this out. Varga gets back to 3rd. Visma up to 2nd. Full fuel. Oh, Varga tried to get back down on the inside to 1 and couldn't.
Well, he knows that Visma's got ridiculous pace. He knows his only hope of 2nd is to get past Visma as soon as possible now that he's overtaken him, or to have kept him behind him originally, which is why he fought that so hard. But I think the pace of Visma was so impressive that with that kind of lap time delta, he was always going to get the overtake done, be it through hook or crook, and it was pretty clean in the end. Great racing between the two of them. We're now watching the battle at the back on the top 10. Tim Harris is in a sandwich of Will Buchanan and Dave Oliver. Oliver behind him, Buchanan from him, the sole Ford tilling the Holdens around him, and he's on the attack at the moment. But look at that car behind Dave Oliver. Oliver ready to pounce if these two start costing themselves lap time.
Oh boy, 55 seconds on the clock. Next time by the line, white flag in the air. We've got our eyes on Tim Harris at the moment, all over the back of Will Buchanan, fending off Dave Oliver. No other battles elsewhere beyond that on this racetrack. It's just the battle for 1st, the battle for 2nd, the battle for 4th, and the battle for 8th. Oh boy. White flag in the air. Let's go. One more time around. Such a huge disparity between 1st and the rest of the field here. 8.1 seconds up the road is where Greg Favell sits at the moment. Punching out extraordinary numbers. Play One Sim Gear Super 2 challenge for you on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. It looks as though Varga's done enough to consolidate 3rd here. Visma's done enough to score 2nd, or secure it at least. Merritt under all sorts of pressure from Hammond, but it will amount to nothing because Merritt's got an invoice coming his way. They haven't put enough distance between themselves and Tim Nicol and Josh Robertson. So Merritt's going to drop at least 3 spots here from 4th to 7th with that 10-second penalty. And a safety license point penalty being applied to Jacob Hughes as well for contact with David Christensen, which wasn't ideal for either car. Checkered flag in the air this time by the line. Greg Favell, we haven't seen much of him tonight. Means it's been a pretty quiet, pretty uneventful, but absolutely enjoyable night at the office for him. Round 3 of the Play One Sim Gear Super 2 Series goes his way at the gateway to hypothermia. Terrific on Phillip Island from Greg Favell. Holding 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 here, and there's a 5-second penalty coming the way of Tim Nicol as well, and that will relegate him. So Michael Hammond will actually end up 4th, and John Merritt will end up 6th in all of that, because Tim Nicol's going to pick himself up a 5-second invoice, which will relegate him to 7th. Dave Oliver, that's not the best way across the start-finish line, I wouldn't have thought, but he gets the job done. A little bit of whipper snipping being done right at the very end, and Michael Hammond picks up a safety license point penalty as well. try and pick all that apart, Liam Banks. My goodness, Greg Favell. Usually when you're out in that sort of clear air, I mean, it wasn't until the pit stop that he brought that clear air, it's important to say.
This is a three-way battle for 20th here, by the way.
I'll copy that. We'll call this to the line, and then I'll go to you, Liam Banks. Jacob Hughes has gone wide. We know he's got a penalty coming his way, and he's going to let the boys race ahead of him. Pete Matson in 20th, and Paul Wood in 21st. Wood trying to get down on the inside. Woody! Have a look at that! Down the inside of Matson! Onto the main straight. These two are good mates. They'll go side by side. The drag race to the line. Matson and Wood. Matson! Got it at the post. Nothing in it at all. Matson got 20th on the line.
And when he says nothing in it at all, he means 0.00. That's what I've got on my timing screens.
Wow.
We're going to have to wait for the official results to know for sure who got 20th between Matson and Wood there, but the driving was fantastic regardless. I'm sure neither of them will really care.
Yep. Now, Trucker Joe Baldwin standing by to have a chat to us here in just a moment, and I'm going to ask the obvious question, why? Because he wasn't in the race. I'm assuming he might have taken a seat in race control and watched on the second best seat in the house. We'll get to go in just a moment. Stephen Varga standing on by to come in and have a chat to us as well. Let's drag him in too. Before I go to Joe, Liam, let's just pick this apart. Usually, when you're out to that sort of comfortable margin, like Greg Favell was tonight, it means you've had a pretty uneventful night at the office. He had to work hard in the opening stint to fend Visma off and keep him at bay. Did that. Visma ran into trouble in the pit stop, and from there it was smooth sailing. We didn't see much of Greg Favell tonight, and usually, when that's the case, it is a good thing, despite it being rather lonely at the pointy end of 10.
Yeah, Favell drove a perfect race. Let's just get out of the way. But there were two key moments that led to that 7-second lead. The first of all was the start. Whilst Favell and Visma got a clean getaway and didn't fight each other too hard in the opening lap, others behind them either had incidents, there were incidents up and down that start-finish straight, or started battling very, very hard through the hairpins, through Miller Corner, and that led to a 3-second gap after the first couple of laps. That 3-second gap was always going to be very hard to chase down. Then later on, after Favell and Visma continued pulling away, Visma got something wrong in the pit stops. Hopefully he joins us. We're able to ask exactly what happened. We suspect he filled his tank all the way up, and that gave Favell a commanding lead, which he never relinquished, and he was just perfect from start to finish, essentially. This is the start, so this is the first of those points I made, and that's
bang,
the beginnings of some
pinata.
carnage.
We've got Nick Fodiata standing by. We'll have Greg Favell here in a moment as well. Stephen Varga dropped out and dropped in again, so we'll get him back in too. And we've also got Joe Baldwin. Hey, Trucker, did you miss the server or were you in Super 3? Correct me if I'm wrong.
I was in Super 3 tonight.
You were.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I didn't get. I didn't race the first round, so I never got put into either split. I think I got one lap in qualified 8th on cold tyres, and end up driving up to 4th. Probably should have been 3rd, but Jason Sculia put in a awesome defensive drive, really clean racing, and it was a bit of fun. I was actually home. There was about 7 minutes left to the end of qualifying when I got home, so I just made it.
Not bad, mate, that you can get home just after afternoon tea time and jump in and have a go. In saying all of that, mate, very nicely done. What's that, a 14-15 position charge for you? And on a track that we all love, but I know you're a big fan of this joint.
Phillip Island, is there anywhere better? It's fantastic in the supercar. Turn 1 and 2, when you get it right, it just leaves a smile for the rest of the lap. You can't help but love it.
Exactly right, mate. No, it's a very nice performance. There are the results from that second server, that Super 3 server, as you see them on your screen there, ladies and gentlemen. Tony Baker, Aidan Schultz, Jason Sculia, Brenton Joe Baldwin, Greg Spencer, Bevan Moyes, Lachlan Stewart, Aaron Bryan, Shane Ewans, and also Bradley Curtin made up the top 10. So there we go. The Legacy Supercars, Phillip Island delivering the goods. Racing looked fairly clean from what we can see on the screen there, but it's Phillip Island. Surely 1 or 2 bit the dust at some point, Joe?
Yeah, there was a couple of pinch brakes, and I haven't did it. I went to go for a pass and missed my braking marker and speared off Duke to hazards through the grass and cut the corner, so I didn't hit anybody. But we managed to get out the other side. I think I probably lost about 8 or 9 seconds in it. But I certainly wasn't the only one. There was a bit of bumping and barging early on before people spread out, but. Yeah, everyone was respectful and clean, and there was a lot of apologies, and yeah, it's good. It's fantastic class to have running back with the gents. Yeah, and the Bailey Ladders Falcon put in a good show tonight.
Indeed, they did.
As did all the drivers. Actually, it's the Super2. They're not slow. They're just not quite as fast as the aliens.
But it's a good sign, I guess, for Monday Night Motorsport going forward that the on-trade does have 2 splits, mate. I mean, something had to be done. The club had to address a good issue, a good problem to have at the end of week 1 when we had more drivers than we had grid spots. So Super 2, Super 3, order of the equation, and so far so good. The fields are fruitful.
Absolutely, and I'm not sure how many cars the top split got, but we got 34 in the hang on a second, 30.
We had 26.
32 in the second split that took the green. So it's 31 or 32 cars there. So we're still getting the big numbers on a Monday night, which is great to see. And yeah, it just shows the club's going strength to strength.
Indeed. Next week, mate, we head to Watkins Glen Cup. That'll be a heck of a lot of fun. 25.
No, I reckon I might be sick next Monday. might have to stay home from work and do a couple of laps and join in for that one. That's that's another great venue as well. So I think everybody loves Watkins Glen.
I love it. Hey, very nicely done, Trucker, as per usual, mate. Good luck for the rest of the week. We'll check in with you Thursday night, yeah?
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Zach.
And I say that because we've got the GT3 race coming up at the bottom at the quarter of the hour mark, ladies and gentlemen, Eastern Daylight Time, 8:45 for you. And we've got a few drivers to have a chat to here in the meantime. And again, big thanks to Trucker for jumping on by. Let me start with Dave Oliver because it's been a while since we've seen him around on a Monday night. Mate, good evening to you. Well done. Nice to see you in the top splits here in Super 2. And the result wasn't too bad, narrowly missing out on a top 10 finish in 11.
Hey guys, it's been a little while, but yeah, it was an interesting race. Got caught up and meat board in the off-the-line incident, and decided the car still felt reasonably okay. So instead of pitting straight away, I decided to roll the dice and see if I was going to get penalised or not. And just as I reckon I would have been booted from the track, my pit window opened. So I did a double whammy and cleared my meatball and did my fuel stop. So other than that, it felt pretty good. And yeah, just a matter of just getting my head wrapped around this car again.
And it must have been nice to somewhat stay out of trouble there on the opening lap because they were bouncing off each other like pinballs and pinatas, mate.
I was one of the unlucky recipients of a four-way conker. So if I was going any quicker, I probably would have done a Barguana over the crest down into one. So yeah, I had a bit of damage on the front left there, but yeah, it was a case of just managing that and was able to get it repaired and had a bit of clear track and fresh tyres and managed to jump a few people in the stop. So yeah,
works wonders. And Sydney Motorsport Park Sunday, you behind the lens again?
Been a busy week. I was up at the mountain on the weekend, so that was fun, and covering a few of the 86s for alongside a mate of mine, and then got S&P on the weekend for the APRA series and also for the Thursday out at the Dragway at the White Line Rally Sprint. So very nice and busy at the moment. So yeah, should be good.
Well, I will see you trackside on Sunday, mate. I'm looking forward to it immensely. What's on the agenda as far as GSRC racing is concerned for the rest of the week? Are you jumping in GT3?
I'll probably just stick with these at the moment. Just try something a bit different, and If schedule allows, I might jump in the Porsches, but just have to go see if that allows.
Copy that. And it'll be interesting to see where we go with regards to you and your involvement. Obviously, time is precious at the moment, but good to see you back in the supercar, mate. Good to see you back in the server. Good to see you still on board with the club. Laguna Seca's next stop, and Laguna Seca's the stop for GT3. What was planned for you guys next Monday night? 25 minutes around there will be almost as helter-skelter as here.
Yeah, it's it'll just be definitely a track of managing tires and trying to get the thing to turn and to stop. So pretty much everything it doesn't do. So yeah, it'll be fun.
Indeed. All right, mate. Go well. Enjoy the rest of the night. Thanks for that.
No worries. Thanks again, guys.
There he is, Dave Oliver. To the race winner, Greg Favell. Mate, good evening to you. Well done. A clean, smooth, commanding performance from you. Geez, Anthony Visma put some pressure on you there in the early stages. You two had a good little scrap. We unfortunately didn't probably check in with it as much as we should have, because to be fair, we were watching a three-way battle or four-way battle behind you for third place. But in saying that, you lost Anthony through the pit sequence. You got back out on the track with clear real estate, clear air, no pressure, and walked away with it, mate. Well done.
Yeah, Visma's meant to be my teammate, and at the start I was saying, hey, let's just try and break the toe and then we can battle. So he just kept sticking the nose up inside the inside where he shouldn't have been. I was a bit worried for a while. And then at the pit stop, I think he filled the car up instead of just putting 20 litres in, so we're getting used to that. The
trademark iRacing 101 error, but in saying all of that, at least it didn't hurt him too much in the long run, despite some serious pressure being applied from Stephen Varga late in the piece as well. So teammates 1 and 2, interesting tactics, but they worked, didn't they? Because if you work together rather than scrapping, it is so more time efficient and time effective, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one of them tracks. If you can break the toe, then you can slowly pull away and then battle on later in the race. But unfortunately, it wasn't to be tonight for Mr. Visma.
No. However, your loss is his loss is your gain, mate, and that's a nice little W in the column. So far, so good as far as the series is concerned, despite some carnage late in the piece last week at Monza.
Yeah, I didn't even realise I had a post-race penalty till play, which I was a little bit disappointing. I didn't even say the replay because I thought it was a bit of both cars, but
yep.
I really needed that tonight, so see how we go for the rest of the season.
Obviously, the new Gen cars aren't in iRacing yet. We've got the Gen 2 cars in there if we choose to use them, but there's something about the legacy supercars, isn't there?
Yeah, they're nice to drive. I think they're a lot easier to drive. So, yeah, good fun.
Indeed, and what are your thoughts on Watkins Glen next week, mate?
Oh, I don't mind Watkins Glen. I'm more looking forward to it. I'm pretty sure we're going to Chicago Street this season, so that's my favourite track.
Yes.
The V8.
There's the calendar on your screen, mate. I mean, Watkins Glen Road America, we both love. We all love, actually. Motorland Aragon Outer, that's going to be interesting. Circuit Park Zandvoort, yeah, hit and miss. Chicago will be great.
Yep.
And then, of course, the two at the end. Perfect way to finish it off, really.
Yeah, looking forward to it. So, yeah, looking forward to next week too. I don't mind Watkins. So.
And where are we going to see you popping up in the meantime, please, between now and next Monday night?
I've got a lot going on with work at the moment, so I'm probably just going to have to concentrate on this for now and hopefully be able to start doing more races like we did last season.
It's not a bad thing to be busy. It's not a bad thing to be busy. I was only reflecting on that earlier this afternoon myself. The next 4 weeks are a bedlam, but I wouldn't have them any other way. Good on you, Greg. Thanks for stopping by, mate. Well done again.
All right, cheers. Thanks.
Well done.
And on that note, let's go to Stephen Varga, and then I'm coming to our good mate Nick Photiadis, who has stopped on by here. Stephen, well done. Had to fight with the likes of John Merritt and Michael Hammond and Tim Nicol early in the piece there. There might have been one or two that I've missed along the way there because, by gee, there was a lot going on throughout the course of 25 minutes. But when it mattered most, you were there at the pointy end of town, pushing Anthony Visma all the way in the fight for second. And even with the extra fuel on board, he had a little bit of an extra kick, didn't he?
Yeah, well, there wasn't much pushing going on, really. I was just trying to hope I could stay in his draft and keep John back. Which that worked, thankfully, for me. Yeah, no, that car was a dog. Didn't turn nicely. Really had to get off the gas going through the last corner, and didn't like it. But it was enough to come home with a podium. So I want too much more for my first race in the split one of this series.
That's right, exactly. A little bit of promotion going on there between rounds. Now, in saying that, you say the car was a bit of a dog, but at least it looked good.
Yeah, that's right. I should put my actual team paint skin on, but I'm bothered at the moment. So one day.
Again, people are time poor at the moment. We understand. In saying all of that, mate. Good hustle. You didn't really have to worry about John, but you probably weren't aware that he had a 10-second penalty hovering over his head.
No, not at all. Too bad for John, but no, it was coming pretty hard, and Mr. Hammond wasn't too far behind him, so it was either one of the two that were going to come down. And a gain of 7 positions, meaning you drove straight by both bits of carnage at the opening. Yeah, I got lucky there. Kind of saw one of Greg's teammates kind of bag it up at the start and went around that, and then I saw a bit of carnage behind me too, so I'm like, oh, glad I wasn't that far back, so I was lucky in that aspect. All right, very nicely done. Just confirming with Adam Lavis, my producer and director at this point in time, Am split first, Pro split second tonight?
Correct.
Yep.
So for those of you that are tuning in, we're going to bring you race 1 of the AM series from GT3 for waste options at the end of this race, at the end of our coverage of the post-race show here for the Player 1 Simgear Super 2 series. Then we'll bring you race 2 of round 3 of the Pro split for waste option on the back end of that. So still so much more to come tonight on the platforms of the Gentlemen Sim Racing Club. Do not go anywhere. We're far from done. Stephen, while we've still got you, mate, do you notice an increase in the intensity and therefore the pressure with the jump up into Super 2?
No, I didn't. Not just because there was so much carnage behind me. In the first, maybe the first 5 or 6 cars, yes, but I don't know what any of the people behind me had because they probably had a rough start to the race and it didn't help them. So maybe next week I'll probably see a lot more competition, which should be good, and hopefully I might do a bit of practice before qualifying. Watkins Glen's going to be incredible, mate. I'm already looking forward to it. What are your thoughts? Really good track. I just hope I have more turn. But yeah, bit of testing wouldn't hurt. All right, very nicely done. Hey, great to catch up with you, mate. Well done tonight, and well done on the promotion as well. And already proving why you were promoted as well. I think it's fair to say. Go well for the rest of the week. We'll catch up. Thank you. Have a good night. Nick Fodiatis to you. Speaking of the carnage from the outset, you had to go rogue, you had to go bush, you do a little bit of lawn mowing on your way down to turn 1, but it paid off because in the end, you worked your way back from starting 23rd to finishing 14th, mate.
Well, yeah, thank you, Zach. The Bailey Ladders car was actually quite good. The driver couldn't really get his grip around here. I was probably better off on a postie bike or something, but the start line, I don't know if Adam, if you wouldn't mind going back to show that, because I still haven't seen it. My face there on the screen pretty much sums it up. I was like, what the hell? I had to go to the grass, got my first incident within the first 10 metres, and then, had to get in and start digging from there.
Indeed.
I think the car in front of my teammate stalled or something.
Yep.
So Gazza went left, I'm like, uh-oh, and then Dave ran into the back of him.
Was it Jacob Hughes that stalled on the start? Or was it
and then,
else?
we got a bit of a car park happening here, so you have to manoeuvre through all this. So I honestly don't know what happened. All I heard was just, watch out, there's cars. So it looks like
in saying that, it's interesting to see how quickly the debris cleaned up and disappeared on the racetrack there. There was so much debris on the racetrack as the cars were all piling on in. Had that been real world, that would have been red flag territory. Have a look at this. Andrew Dutch got sent. Bang.
Oh, he got a bit too hard on the right foot.
There you go.
Cleaned up by a couple of cars, and then, my teammate Paul Wood limped around. I think, where did he finish? 21st?
Woodsy ended up 21st, just behind Pete Matson.
Yeah, I was behind Pete for a fair chunk there. Dave Christensen was right there with me, but obviously running into the back of that car at the start didn't help him. And Gaza was another 10 seconds down the road. The setup we had was actually quite good, as proven by Mikey being in the top 5 there. But
Hammond's been a consistent performer, hasn't he?
Yes, he has. Yeah, as speaking on behalf of Michael Hammond, because he doesn't turn up to these things. It was a good race. I had good fun, and the car was good.
There's reasons why Michael Hammond doesn't turn up to these things, ladies and gentlemen. We are broadcasting the family-friendly time slot, and hello to you as always, Mr. Hammond.
Look, like I said, I don't know. I just don't get this particular car and track combo, I love the track, love the car. I just when they put them together, I don't know. It's like cheese and jam or something. I don't know. It just doesn't go with me.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I've still got to wrap my head around it. But once I got going, once I get a flow on this place, it's all right. But I feel open wheelers or something smaller will go better around here for me. Or a motorcycle. So yeah, throw me on a postie bike, a 100cc postie bike, I'll be all right.
Well, I was going to say the postie bike race here in Cessnock's only 4 weeks away, my friend. We'll see if we can arrange something for you. No,
those things are going up in price ridiculously, by the way.
Aren't they? Aren't they just? I'm very glad that I'm on this side of the fence as per usual. Same with XLs. Now, while I've still got you on the
yes, Watkins Glen is going to be mega because that's built for big cars.
Exactly. And then Ride America straight after that. And I know that you've had views on how much that can be over or underused in the past.
Overused, yes. a bit like Bathurst, but I mean, look, it's 3 drag strips essentially with a couple squiggles in the middle. So, be good just getting off the corners onto the long straights. Should be good. Good passing down into the end of those straights. Zandvoort, a bit like Joe was saying about Watkins Glen. I might take some time off on that one. I just don't think squiggly little track like that, plus these big heavy cars, are going to go too well.
No.
And I think the field will be quite spread out there. So, other than that, the rest of the season is looking awesome. Yes, Chicago Street, bring it on.
All right, very nicely done. And of course, the IndyCar series on a Friday night, my friend. I know you would have been delighted to see that back on the schedule. Quick update, because I haven't had a chance to chat to you in the last couple of weeks. How's that all going, please?
You caught me off guard here. I will just quickly bring it onto my screen, unless Adam's got a quick link. IndyCar, here we go. Give me a sec.
Well, I got last week's winner on the screen.
Round 1 was at Red Bull Ring. That was won by Thomas Martin. He actually did a really good job. Scott Gamble second, myself third, Adam fourth. Only just beat our illustrious director, only because he made a mistake on his fuel. And then on the Friday just gone, one of the club favourites, Pete Matson, got his actual first club win. He was over the moon. He had a good old fight. It was Auto Club Speedway, California Speedway, flat out whole way around. Draft trains, all sorts of things, and I honestly thought that Bevan Moyes was going to have that one wrapped up. Just the way he was driving, he's driving really smart, driving to the fuel numbers, all that kind of thing, and Pete, yeah, just held it flat all the way around for every single lap, I think, and he won it by a nose. There's a picture up on our Facebook page, and congratulations to Pete. And yeah, he's still, I think he's still over the moon. Here he is on screen, by the way. But thank you to Motorsport Games. We can't show any IndyCar action. I do apologise.
Yeah, unfortunately, we love our IndyCar, but.
Interestingly, they did lose the NASCAR rights to iRacing.
Yeah,
recently,
fingers crossed. Fingers crossed they lose the IndyCar one.
Spells financial trouble. That's what that says to me, because that's their biggest IP and they've just sold it.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. All right, we'll leave it there because we've got the GT3 standing on by. Great to catch up with you as always, mate. Thank you.
Always. Thank you, guys. Keep it up.
Apologies as well. I just saw a message pop up there from Ryan Tegel, who was saying that he was in here willing to have a chat to us, but he's shot through. So that's okay because we're out of time. We'll catch up with Ryan a little bit later on in the week because Formula V will be back on a Thursday night. In the meantime, we need a break on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Great to have you along for the ride across Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. This is Monday Night Motorsport, night 1 of week 3 of term 4 for 2023, season 15 for the club. And it continues with the mainstay of a Monday night for all of that time. Waste Options GT3 and Split first, Pro Split second, sprint racing for Monday night from WeatherTech Raceway when we come back. Don't go away. Monday Night Motorsport on the platforms, the Gentleman Sim Racing Club across Facebook, Twitch and YouTube. Nice to have you along for the ride wherever you're tuning in all around Australia or indeed the world across Facebook, Twitch and YouTube. This is the second leg of a doubleheader, and that is not the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit that we should be showing you. It's WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna, Seca in Monterey, California. There it is, that's better. And we are gearing up for race 1 of round 3 of Waste Options GT3. We're bringing you the AM Split race 1 and the Pro Split race 2. And there'll be a quick intermission commercial break in between time as we get set to rock and roll here with a very decent, very healthy field in Waste Options GT3 AM. We'll get to the track and weather and race and all that info in just a moment. I just want to quickly run you through the championship standings in the AM Split here and now, and I can tell you that Michael Schroeder leads the way on 110 points, Darren Johnston on 86, Sean Rees on 77, and then Jermaine Takalou and Mitch McIntyre 73 and 70 apiece respectively there. Cars are about to move off. Behind the safety car, Philip Butler and Aidan Schultz the front row, Sean Rees and Jermaine Takalou the second row, Braden O'Loughlin and Joe Baldwin the third row. Fourth row, we've lost the graphics there for a moment. Sean Benici, of course, and then also Neil Gladwin, Paul Nichols and Gary Cousins from row 5. Paul Wood, Brett Bradbury from 6, Bradley Curtin, William Yarwood from 7, Dale Sharp and Callum Heinrich from 8, who hasn't yet joined us on the grid. Michael Schroeder, James Francone from 9, Greg Heaney and Dane Snadden from 10, Eduardo Zamora, and also Robin Ibbett from row 11. Row 12 is Simon Clapham and Adam Johnson. Row 13, Tristan Koch, Pete Matson, Aaron Bryan, Brett Campbell, and then Brian Lynn, Marty Mitchell and Scott Craig make up a 31-car field here as we get ready to rock and roll from WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. 2 o'clock in the afternoon service time, partly cloudy conditions, 34 on track, ambient of 25. We're ready to go racing, and at the top end of the field, it is the Ferrari Cup with a couple of Porsches in there for good measure as they head down towards turn 1 and 2. Too wide they go, and field's starting to sort itself out. Sean Rees on the wide there on the inside of 86. Sean's not having a bar, but he slides back immediately to turn 3. Good clean start as the field sorts itself out on the opening lap. Rees, Takalou, and then also O'Loughlin and Baldwin, the top 6. Yes, Joe Trucker having a crack at a GT3. Off goes Adam Johnson. The rest of the field cleanly away.
Look at the daylight that Butler's putting between himself and Schultz already. That gap already up to a second. We're talking about the DRS range. If this was F1, of course that gap could come down, but just shows that Butler has got off to a cracking start. And Sean Rees is all over the back of Schultz. Ferrari on Ferrari, and they've got a pair of Porsches right behind them, ready to get involved in this battle.
So it's Ferrari 1, 2, 3, Porsche 4, 5, Ferrari 6, 7. Then the first of the McLarens in 8. That's Sean Benici, of course. Then we go back to Gary Cousins and Paul Nichols in the Mercedes, the first of the Mercs. In the 10th place there, but not anymore because he's just put it off the road and slipped down to 13th behind Paul Wood, Brett Bradbury, and William Yarwood in the first BMW as well. So a good spread of different manufacturers here, Banksy. Let's just go through that. 126.5294 for Philip Baker on the opening. Philip Butler, I should say, on the opening lap. We're up to a 15. That's how many we've got connected in 21 minutes. Butler doing a very nice job of actually shooting leads. So Ferrari, Porsche out there, McLaren, Porsche, I've already mentioned Porsche, BMW, Mercedes out there as well. No Audi, no Ford, no Lamborghini, but 5 different manufacturers on the board. We're getting a question about the pro races. We are going to swap service at the halfway mark of this sprint round. This is the first of 4 sprint rounds throughout the campaign, having commenced with 2 60-minute races. We will swap out at the end of this race. Oh, there goes the race leader! Philip Butler's had a monumental moment! Heading up to the top of the hill, and he drops 3 places, 4 now, and he drops back to 5th. Oh my goodness me! Big moment for Butler, now he's dropping it at the 7th as they go through the course. Trigger points for the circuit. There are trigger points all the way around here. You can easily find yourself in trouble, and he's now very much done that on this second lap of proceedings here at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. Our race leader, our pole sitter, now finds himself in 7th. So just to finish answering the question, to jump out of the AM split at the end of race 1 and bring in the second race of the pro split for this round of the championship, just to answer that question and alleviate any further questions from all and sundry. That's what we'll be doing throughout most of the split races.
Yeah, just just to go back to that incident with Butler, as we watch his teammate Schultz lose the lead to Sean Rees. Butler, what he needs to do now is forget about that incident. It doesn't matter that it happened. All that matters is what he can do now. He's in 7th. He can't go thinking, I should be in the lead, I should be in the lead. It's going to lead him to make mistakes as he tries to fight his way back through. All he needs to know is that he's got the pace, he's got cars ahead to overtake. Do it cleanly, do it with precision, and just get back to where he can. I know he hasn't done that. There's been contact there between Butler and I think Rd-3?
Yeah.
Yarwood perhaps. There's a few drivers that have been caught up now, and they're all falling down the order. We'll have to watch a replay to find out exactly what's happened there. But your top 3 currently are Rees, Schultz and Takaloo.
Butler's not going from bad to worse as he drops outside the top 20 down to 23rd. Remember, invert of the top 10 at the end of this race for the second race. Not that we'll be seeing that, of course, but it'll be interesting to see who benefits from the invert here. And as there's such constant change unfolding in the order here, it could be a very jumbled order for the start of the second race, the M split from WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna, Seca. Lap 4 is upon us. We've got Rees. We've got Schultz. We've got Takaloo. Takaloo with the fastest lap of the race at 1:22.999.
Yeah, put a lot of pressure on the 2 ahead.
Benitez in pit lane. Benitez in pit lane. Sorry, mate, go on.
Yeah, he's the only Porsche in this battle for the podium at the moment. He's got Braden and Lachlan in 5th, the next Porsche, but he's a second down on Baldwin, who in turn is second down on Takaloo. So I think at the moment, he's the only Porsche really in the picture, and one of only a smattering of non-Ferrari cars that seem to have an advantage around this track. There is a Merc in the top 10, but otherwise it's all Ferraris and Porsches dominated by Ferraris. Interesting to note, Rees, after getting past Schultz, not able to pull away at all. That battle is going to continue on for the rest of the sprint race. We're seeing what happened to Adam Johnson here. So he's just lost it by himself on the exit, a bit of too much throttle, and into the wall on the inside.
So no further action for the incident between Paul Nichols and also Dale Sharp, and race control have already had their work cut out for them. That was the replay of the incident that caught Philip Butler out just too deep into the left-hander, caught the sand on the outside, and it speared him across the racetrack. Thankfully he had enough of a buffer, but he didn't take any unwilling passengers with him. And there was the incident for Paul Nichols. Watch the rejoin here. That'll be what race control would have been looking at.
No problem with that.
No, it's just the tap actually through onto the main straight. And that's all good. All is fair in love and war, as they say. Yeah, a bit more argy-bargy around the back of the circuit. That's what they were looking at. Uh-oh.
I think more watching his replays, Pete Maxon's had an incident. He's got an off-track against his name. He's tumbling down the order. Was up 14 spots. He's down to up 5. Lost 9 spots and whatever has occurred there. And we're about to see another angle of Paul Nichols. So he starts losing it. Oh, that's desperately unlucky. Starts losing it by himself on the outside. And just as he's losing it, the car wants to go to the inside and he just taps the car on the inside. It wasn't overly aggressive or anything like that, just a mistake. And that red car on the inside just in the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong car on his outside. On screen now, the battle for the lead. Still Sean Rees and Aiden Schultz with Takaloo just behind them. Not close enough to make a move, but certainly close enough to get involved. Schultz and Rees start over halfway through the, well, getting towards halfway through the race now. And it looks like the top 5 have broken away from those behind them. Big gap from O'Loughlin in 5th to Wood in 6th. And that's a 10-second penalty for Yarwood for contact with Eduardo Zamora.
And I'm having a look at the timing screen at the moment, Liam. So jump in if anything untoward happens on the racetrack. Just having a look at some of the winners and losers so far out of all this. Eduardo Zamora's parked up for the night. He's done, having lost 10 spots. Callum Heinrich is back out there persevering with it, down 15. Dale Sharp down 11 spots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars have already transited pit lane, and remember, that's an instant invoice in these races, given that there are no scheduled pit stops in the opening leg of the sprint race format. Sean Rees, the leader, has just punched out the fastest lap of the race, 1:22.854. As far as positive moves are concerned, 5 for Paul Wood, 6 for Bradley Curtin, 11 for Greg Heaney, 6 for James Francone, 7 for Dane Snowden, 8 for Simon Clapham, 8 also for Tristan Koch, 8 for Aaron Bryan, 9 for Brian Lynn. -6 now for William Yarwood as he gets by Lynn actually, so Lynn drops down and he's gained 8 spots so far, make it 7 as Sean Bennett. Well, they're on board with Aidan Schultz chasing the race through to Sean Rees. So yeah, Philip Butler's lost 23 spots. So there have been some enormous winners and some enormous losers out of the opening 6 laps of Waste Options GT3M from WeatherTech Race for Laguna Seca. 122.854, the fastest lap of the race for Sean Rees, being really tested here, hassled if you like, haggled by Aidan Schultz.
Yeah, but not as hassled as Simon Clapham is by Tristan Koch here. Nothing to choose between 3 cars in this battle. Clapham in the middle of a sandwich there of Nichols and Coach. Coach also with Brian right behind him, giving him the hurry up. So, 5-way battle here, and well, it's all going to come down to who's got the best racecraft and who can make the least mistakes. That dirt on the outside, that's all the way around this track, it has got absolutely zero grip. Absolutely zero grip. It's tempting to think that it kind of looks like a bit like a tarmac when you're actually driving it. It almost looks like you should be able to go on it and not lose that much grip, but it's absolutely deadly in these cars to get on there. So we'll watch for anybody. And that's Sean Rees. He's just lost the lead at Aidan Schultz. Schultz diving down the inside. Rees is coming back up the inside. Schultz just about goes off track, trying to complete the move. The side-by-side going into the double left-hand out of the first corner. Rees is going to have the benefit of the inside line through there. Schultz going to have to go the long way around if he's going to make it stick.
Watch it, because if Schultz can make it stick, oh no, he can't. I was going to say, if he wanted to hang tough around the outside, he would have had the inside running the turn 3 banks here, and that's what he would have been aiming for. But then he had to get back in and cover because Jermaine Takaloo was lurking there and looming large. And Joe Baldwin's not too far away either. Trucker having a great run in the Ferrari, and we know that he's not a huge fan of this GT3 caper. Up the outside goes Aidan Schultz on the back of a mistake for Sean Rees, and Aidan Schultz. Ferrari 1 and 2, but it's now Schultz with front running at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Very nicely done as Schultz takes us up to the top of the hill once more. Schultz, he's found his way to the front. You'll know this is a broadcast race as well. Don't think he won't be bragging about it when he joins you on Wednesday night, ladies and gentlemen, for a bit of Downforce Legends and also GT4 action. Through we go. Schultz the leader. Rees, Takaloo, Baldwin, O'Loughlin, then Wood. Ferrari 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, and that's it at the moment. 5 of them in the top 10, 4 Porsches, and also the Merc and Bradley Curtin as well. 3 manufacturers in the top 10. Ferrari v Porsche at the top end of town. Porsche's there, right there in the former Jermaine Takaloo. A Porsche in a Ferrari sandwich.
And look who's getting involved in this battle as well now. Joe Baldwin was a second behind this battle with the 3 of them having that battle that we saw so entertainingly at the start and the end of the start of the last lap. We've now got Baldwin in this battle, making it a 4-way fight. 3 Ferraris all ganging up on the lone Porsche. Can they make it an all-Ferrari podium? We've got 7 laps to find out. Oh, he's lost it. That's Baldwin loses the rear on entry, carrying a bit too much entry speed and not able to rescue it. Ends up in the wall. And now he's going to spin it round, get it going. He should be able to limp it home, I think.
Yeah, he'll be frustrated by that trucker. He'd been having such a good run until then.
No, that car is not healthy.
Away. No,
that car did not look healthy.
Not healthy at all. And now all of a sudden, trucker's not in the fight anymore.
So
and there were 3 at the top end of town. Hello, Adam Latham.
So which one of the 2 of you is taking the blame for that one?
Neither.
Neither.
Trucker never turns up. Trucker is literally gate crashing GT3 at him. He never normally turns up here.
No. I think I'm going to cop it because we've got 2 bits of evidence on the curse skip tonight. Because just as I was talking about needing to get stopping in the pit lane, right, we saw that they got the fuel wrong in the Super 2 race, and then just as I'm talking about Baldwin, he's gone off. So I think I might be the curse giver tonight. So I will apologise to Joe. Apologies for that curse. And someone else has just gone off the track in the background while we were watching the approach to the corkscrew. Now Brian is going to launch a move up the inside of somebody there. This is Pete Matson losing it by himself. so easy to do in these cars. You think it would be easy with the traction control and the ABS, but not that hard to loop these cars, as is evidenced tonight, particularly if you're in a Porsche. That was a McLaren we saw last time, but the Porsche is known for their mid-corner rotation issues.
Absolutely. Round we go again. Neil Gladwin, we've picked him up. He's there in 11th at the moment, under pressure from James Frencone. Now, Greg Heaney's the success story of the race thus far, up 12 spots. The Ferrari has moved from 19th to 7th. That'll be 4th on the grid for the invert if things stay as they are. But given there's still 5 1/4 laps to go here, Liam Banks and Phillips and Seca, I'm hesitant to say, and there's proof, I was hesitant to say or believe that things were going to stay as they are.
And the reason that we say that around Laguna Seca is because of that exact corner we were watching, the corkscrew, one of the most famous corners in motorsport, up there with Uruj Radion, up there with Maggotts Beckett Stowe, up there with the S's and Suzuka, Degner 1, Degner 2. It's one of the iconic corners, and the reason for that is you approach it and it's absolutely blind. I didn't realise how blind it was until I got into iRacing. It is absolutely blind. You pick your braking point on a whim and a prayer, and then all of a sudden you crest the top of the hill and you just plummet down, and it's doing everything to try and kick your back end out if you're carrying anything like a modicum of steering lock. Anything more than you are expecting, you get it slightly wrong and you will loop it round. You have to give that corner so much respect. It's so difficult, and we have seen multiple cars go around there today, and we're going to continue to see that even in the pro split a little bit later on tonight.
Up towards the corkscrew once more. Lap 11 of 15, Monday Night Motorsport Platforms Gentlemen Sim Racing Club. A couple of off-track alerts being lit up on our timing monitors at the moment. Brett Bradbury on one of those, actually, unfortunately, has dropped down to 14th as a result, and there he is limping away. So this will be the trademark: in too hot, out too hot, one or the other. And just looped it into the wall, unfortunately, did Brett Bradbury. Back down main straight we go, and this is Curtin. Bradley Curtin, 6th place at the moment, under pressure from Greg Heaney. Heaney to the outside. Good charge from Heaney so far. Biggest mover in the race. Not without some sort of assistance by way of attrition around him. However, something to be said about Greg Heaney as a racer. He charges hard, he charges well. He's made his overtaking opportunity stick tonight. Now he's on the cusp of the top 5 finish here potentially. Or maybe top 6 only. I don't think he's actually going to catch Paul Wood at this point in time. Wood's another 6 seconds up the road. But we are on lap number 12 of 15. 3 to go next time by the strike.
Yeah, that's absolutely flown by. Battles all up and down the field. The field is quite spread out when you look at the track map, but they're spread out into little clusters where the battling is incredibly intense. Here, and this is one of those battles, Takalu and O'Loughlin, they've lost contact with Schultz and Reese. It was a 4-car battle not all that long ago. We saw Joe Baldwin throw himself out of that battle, and it looks like through slow attrition, Takalu and O'Loughlin have just lost contact. They're 3.2 seconds behind, having their own little private battle, and that's left Schultz and Reese able to fight it out amongst themselves and not worry about losing time, because no matter how much time they lose, they're not going to lose enough for Takalu and O'Loughlin to get back into it with only 2.5 laps remaining.
Exactly. And by the way, Josh Zuno is creating his own Liam Banks bingo sheet now. We know that I've got one named in my honour, courtesy of Chris Whitaker and Grant Gill and a few others. But now Modicum is going on your bingo sheet, Liam. I'm not sure your bingo sheet is as heavily stacked as mine, but give it time as you continue your commentary endeavours with us here on the platforms of the Gentlemen Sim Racing Club, and we'll build it up for you. Aaron Bryan down there on the inside, nicely done, getting by the 16th place Brett Bradbury now. It's a log jam of traffic there. Sean Benici, William Yarwood for company. Those two guys have run into trouble throughout the course of this race. That's why they sit so far down the order at the moment. Dave Dench, yes, just sitting in there patiently waiting for us to get to the pro split in just a moment. Have a look at Bradley Curtin under pressure here. Greg Heaney's going through 3 wide. Oh, jeez. Someone had to give there. Someone had to yield. It was Curtin. He's dropped 3 spots down to 9.
I'm not sure how much of that was a choice versus being forced into it. I think he had 2 wheels on the dirt and couldn't get it to turn left at all, and we just carried along that curve until eventually he brought it back under control. We'd have to see it again, but there's no chance that's going to happen because there's far too much happening on this track. Right now, look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars in this battle, all in the top 10, all at the pointy end of the points, and I'm sure they'll all know they're going to be in a points battle season long with each other, and any points you get on the board right now are going to worth, well, what is it? A bird in the hands worth 2 in the... I can't remember the saying now. Typical, as I go to say it, yeet out of my head. But points on the board are worth more than points in the future. So they're going to do everything they can to get it now. And we just saw on the last lap about 3 of those cars getting 2 wheels on the dirt. So I don't think they're all going to make it to the end, even with 2 laps to go. And it's just Schultz and Reese, and they're fighting for more points than everyone else. The gap between first and second in the points bigger than any of the other gaps. So this is the most meaningful battle on the racetrack, and to go along with that, you get some bragging rights and a nice interview with Zach.
That's true. Hayden Schultz leading the lane. Back to the main lane, main strike we go, main straight. Checkered flag, next time by the line, right lane, yeah, 1 lap to go. Let's decide this, ladies and gentlemen. Hayden Schultz, can he hold on and get a GT3 and victory? Or does Sean Rees have something to say about that? Schultz driving a nice defensive line to turn 2. A run around the back section of the circuit now. Schultz the leader. Rees in second spot. Here they come. And just a little bit further back behind them, you've got the Porsche duo of Jermaine Takalu and also Braden O'Loughlin. Rees is throwing everything at it. Throwing the kitchen sink of this, but Hayden Schultz is withstanding the pressure at the moment. Up to the left-hander that takes us up the hill towards the corkscrew. Now, from this point on, overtaking opportunities are presented at a premium. Schultz holding on, the Ferrari to take us home. Through the corkscrew, clean, smooth run through there. Rees will throw everything at this, but at the end of the day, Porsche may be the better part of Valor here because he'll still get all we wanted to throw it down the inside. He won't get an opportunity from here. Schultz will do enough to hold on and bring it back to the main straight to take the checkered flag. They're going to the 5th row of the grid anyway, ladies and gentlemen. It's good championship points and hold for Sean Rees. But it's to no avail because they the job done under Raceway Laguna Seca. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Well done, Schultz. The Ferrari on top at Laguna. Solid.
Yeah, great racing for the 2 of them. Both of them perfect all race long. It was just going to be a case of who had the slightly better racecraft to get it to the end in first place, and it was Schultz who just won out from Rees. Both of them would have been deserving victors. They were just a small cut above Takalu or Lachlan behind them, who fought for 3rd place. Takalu taking the last spot on the podium by only 0.37 of a second in the end, and then a big gap back to Wood and an even bigger gap back to Heaney, who finishes up 13 spaces. That would be unlucky for some, but not unlucky for Heaney. And here we say Philip Butler, who promised so much at the start of the race, limping home in 20th, and he's going to have an interesting feature race up next.
Indeed he will do. And the winner of the invert is James Francombe there. Biggest move of the race, Greg Heaney up 13 spots to 6th. He did get by Gary Cousins in the end. Joe Baldwin fought back for 8th. Neil Gladwin and James Francombe made up the top 10. Bradley Curtin dropped out of the 10 in the end. How unlucky to be starting 11th for the invert race. 7 Ferraris, 3 Porsches made up the top 10. So well done. Waste Options GT3 AM. It was taken out by Hayden Schultz from Sean Rees, Jermaine Takalu, Braden O'Loughlin, and Paul Wood, the top 5. A break on the platforms, the GSRC. There's a few people in that server with a little bit of work to do. Let's see what damage has been done in the pro split on the other side of this short break. When we come back to WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca to bring you race 2 of round 3 of the top tier And can anyone stop Matthew Dench? That's the question. We'll answer it for you on the other side. Stay with us. Back on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club across Facebook, Twitch and YouTube. Monday Night Motorsport from the, the entree to the main course to dessert now in the form of a very lengthy 37-minute race, actually, in our coverage of the Waste Options GT3 series and leg 2 of round 3. We've switched from the AM split to the Pro split, and we are getting ready to rock and roll for race 2. Matthew Dench on top of the points table coming into this round, ahead of Matt Distill. Look at that margin ballooning out already. Could be one-way traffic yet again as he goes out in pursuit of title number 8. Glenn Arnott, Simon Cox, Wayne Hewitt made up the top 5 coming into this round. Nick Wood, Jake Jackson, Jared Knight, Guy Leach and Richard Mitchum, the top 10. Results from race 1 for you in a moment, but firstly, there's the circuit, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, server time. Now, California being on the west coast, of course, currently 18 hours behind Australian Eastern Daylight Time. So if that was the case, we'd be sitting here at 11 a.m. in the morning if it reflected the way it does in the real world, if it lined up nicely, symmetrically. 26 degrees the ambient, the track temperature, and 24 the ambient at the moment. We're in the United States. The humidity is up there as well at about 25%. The wind's also up at 20 kilometres an hour. Race 1 results for you from this particular round of the championship. Actually, there's qualifying. Wayne Hewitt, Simon Cox, Jared Knight, Matthew Dench. Well, there you go. And Dench, he's nearly 4 tenths off the pace. Then back to, we've got Kevin Henderson and Josh Zuno standing on by to have a chat to us as well. They're sitting in the green room at the moment, and I'm just going to drag them in here and hope that they're aware that it's a 2-race night, or otherwise they're giving themselves an early mark, and I'll find out what the hell's going on in just a moment. Matt Distillo, Alan Holgerson made up the top 5 there. We'll get back to race 1 in just a moment if we can. There they are. No? Try for that. Well, there you go. Matt Dench has been dethroned. Wayne Hewitt on top from Simon Cox, Matt Dench, Matt Distillo, Alan Holgerson, Jared Knight, Nick Wood, Rob Hill, Daniel Hill, and Richard Mitchum wins the invert, having finished 10th. Right. Kevin Henderson and Josh Zuno have headed back to their respective posts, race control 1 and 2 respectively. We're standing by to get ready to rock and roll again at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna, Seca. Richard Mitchum, Daniel Hill, the front row, Rob Hill, Nick Wood, the second row, then Jared Knight, Alan Holgerson, Matt Distill, Matt Dench, Simon Cox, and Wayne Hewitt. David Christensen from 11 alongside Alex Schmidt. 7th row is David Johnson and Jake Jackson. 8th row, Daniel Correa-Sarr and Jonathan Hooper. 9th row, Tim Fuge, Sam Chapman. 10th row, Dean Eldridge and Stephen Brooks. 11th row, Adam Holland. Liam Banks, it's rare that the king is not first past the post. Dench is normally the Dench mark, as we say, but he's got a charge from 8th this time around, having only been 3rd past the post in race 1. It's going to be very interesting to see how he goes, but also overtaking around is not the easiest thing to achieve, so this sprint race is going to be on in earnest from gloves off, apparently.
Yeah, it really will, and congratulations to Wayne Hewitt on the victory. Lovely to see his name propping up with a victory there in the sprint race, as evidenced by the fact that he was 10th on the grid, and Richard two hills looking to work together to try and get past him as he made the run down into turn 1. Nick Woodlow looking to get himself in between the hills, and I thought he had it done, but Rob comes back out part way through the corner into the second part of the left-hander, and now here it is, held down the inside of the right-hander, gets the move done, and Rob Hill's been left to hang out to dry a little bit there, and he's going to have Jared Knight right beside him. Jared Knight gets through as well, but he should be able to hold off Holgerson.
Well done, Jared Knight. Opportunistic. Saw the opportunity, went for it, and wild 2 for the price of 1. That's a huge lunge from Holgerson. Couldn't get both, but got at least one of them. Got past Rob Hill, got past Matt Distill. Matt Distill got by Rob Hill. Up the hill we go for the first time. So many hills in one sentence. Get it together, Zach. 1 of 27 at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna, Seca. 1 of 27. 37 minutes this race. Long way around, long night ahead for these drivers. And Matt Dench has found himself stuck in 8th position off the start. There goes Richard Mitchum. Mitchum's put it off the road at the second last corner, and that changes the game completely. Mitchum back to second. Daniel Hill's the leader in California. The pack's backed up in behind him now, and the floodgates could potentially open here. Jared Knight and Nick Wood working, trying to stay with Richard Mitchum. Daniel Hill the leader, and that could just be the advantage that someone like Wayne Hewitt, someone like Matt Dench, someone like Simon Cox needs to get back in the fight here. As far as the top 10's concerned, where it was Porsche in the AM split, it's BMW in the Pro split. 3 Bimmers and 7 Ferraris in the top 10 at the moment. Matt Dench displaced in this opening night, in the opening stages of the night. Not on pole in qualifying, didn't get the job done in race 1. It's the first time we've seen him off the top step of the podium all season. The pressure immense here at the moment. Everybody wants to dethrone the champion. They want to keep him down that order as far as long as possible. And at the top end of town, Daniel Hill's doing a good job of controlling things now, having taken the lead away from Richard Mitchum. Mitchum right there, will look for an opportunity to get back by and restore order. And to be fair, Liam Banks, as we go back to you, Richard Mitchum would have looked at pole position there in this invert race is not necessarily ideal, given that it would have been 10th past the post in race 1. Not a great finishing position, but ideal in terms of giving himself breathing space. Unfortunately, he got himself undone, and that breathing space has evaporated.
Yeah, Richard Mitchum so often one of the closest to Matty Dench in this series. Would have been licking his lips at the thought of Dench starting to 8th and him starting a pole. And he's not the only driver that will be disappointed to see a hill at the summit of this race, but he will be the most disappointed because he had that lead and he threw it away by going off track, got onto the dirt on the outside and just left the door open for Daniel Hill, who's had contrasting fortunes to the other Hill, Rob Hill, who's down 7 spots now, collapsed from 3rd place all the way down to 10th behind Denchi, Cox and Hewitt. Hulkson and Diston who are all up 1. Otherwise, not too many movers and shakers. Jared Knight's up 2, and throughout the field, he's the only one who's gone up more than 1 spot, and Rob Hill's the only person to go down more than 1 spot. So we're just seeing him saying, oh, he's hit the curb on the inside. He's lucky there isn't more damage there, because that was quite a nasty shunt. Can break the suspension when you hit the curb like that. Manages to collect the car up pretty quickly and does well to stay in 2nd, in all honesty, and he is now putting pressure on Daniel Hill, and all they can do is keep that pressure on, hope for a movement, or hope that Hill makes a mistake. And here's Matt still going down the inside of Alan Hulkson. There's a mistake there. That's Richard Mitchum. Richard Mitchum's falling down the order.
So Mitchum unstuck for the 2nd time tonight, and this time round more costly. He drops down to 17th. Just repeating, didn't get a chance to cover this off the top. There it is again, Richard Mitchum going, he got some assistance, and then ended up nose pointing towards the wall, and then just having to sit there and wait for traffic to clear. And the pack already so backed up in this race.
Yeah, big move.
He had no choice.
Yeah, big move to the inside there for Jared Knight. I'm sure race control had to look at it. Hard to tell from that angle how alongside Jared Knight was. Was he there late? He certainly pulled out and made it obvious he was going to make the move quite early on. But if he don't know how far back he was, couldn't tell from that angle. So that'll be what determines whether that was a legitimate move and he was deserving of space, or whether that was a mistake from Richard Mitchum just not looking in his mirrors and turning in on Jared Knight. My hunch will be that it was that way round. Here we go. Let's see how far back is this. It is quite far back.
Oh,
yeah, quite far back. Wheel to wheel.
Way too far.
Yeah, he's not entitled to space there as Jared Knight. You'd say, you know, if you're putting your safety hat on, you're thinking, you know, if you see him in your mirrors, pull to your left, even if he's really far back, you can leave him space. But he was so far back, he definitely wasn't entitled to it.
Not at all. 23 laps to go. Good day to company wherever you're tuning in. Across Facebook, Twitch and YouTube, Monday night motorsport platforms, the GSRC. There is Matt Distill in 4th place at the moment. So Daniel Hill controlling the race from Jared Knight, Nick Wood. Then Distill, Dench, Cox, Holgerson and Hewitt. Then Hill is 9th, Rob Hill that is, down 6 spots on where he started. And the 3rd of the winners is now Alex Schmidt in 10th place, David Christensen 11th. Didn't get a chance to mention this. Stephen Brooks, Dean Eldridge, Adam Holland did not start this race. They did not start this race. They were due to start 19th, 20th and 21st. They did not. So we've been down to 18 from the outset. Thankfully, all 18 still running. But there's a fair disparity between 1st and 18th at the moment. At the front, Daniel Hill's under enormous pressure. And there are yellow and red numbers next to the top 7 on 8 cars at this point. All of the cars lining up behind Daniel Hill at the moment. That lead pack is 8 deep, and it's got Wayne Hewitt in there in 8th place. The winner of race 1, it's got Simon Cox in there, the 2nd place man across the line in race 1, and he's just behind Matty Dench, and it's Cox who's punched out the fastest number of the race so far at 1 minute 22.020.
Yeah, this race developing into 3 or 4 battle packs. You've got Hill and Knight, and they'll go side by side right now for the lead of the race. And Knight has got past Hill down the inside into turn 1. He takes the lead. Matty Dench just gets back past Nick Wood. That's what you're watching on your screen, the black and yellow car, that distinctive livery of the PGZ car being driven by Matty Dench. getting past the 224 Racing entry of Nick Wood. Next on the road is Matt Distill. Matt Distill has closed the gap to the top two a little bit with Jared Knight making that move on Daniel Hill. So there's now the first gap larger than the second is all the way down the 9th place, as you were describing a little bit earlier, Zach. Rob Hill 2.5 seconds behind Hewitt. So you got the top 8 all in a battle, all on your screens as we speak. Then you got 8th down to 13th, which is David Johnson. No gap more than the second between those lot. Then you got Daniel Correa-Sar a second behind Daniel Johnson, moves Chapman and Hooper close for company. Chapman and Correa-Sar, of course, battling for the honour of top commentator between the two of them. But that's not the battle we're interested in. We're interested in this battle at the front. 8 cars in it. Knight, Hill, Distill, Dench, Wood, Cox, Hewitt, Holgerson in that order. And this is Richard Mitchum pulling over and retiring from the race. We're now watching Jonathan Hooper. So he's
at replay. Caught the curb on the inside of the right-hander.
Did exactly the same
as being a passenger.
Same as what Mitchell did. Exactly the same. Ended up falling back behind Correa-Sar and Chapman. That was the two cars you saw overtaking him, and he's commenced battle with them. So only a few places lost. He's now where he started the race. So he'd had a good race up until then. That curve straight not cost him too much, just a couple of positions, and he'll have to fight his way back past the BMW and the Ferrari of Sar and Chapman. This is the front of the race. This is Daniel Hill. So he's lost 1.2 seconds to Jared Knight. Not sure if he made a mistake or if that's just legit pace. I think he made a mistake. His last lap was a 123.5 compared to low 22s with the cars around him. And this is Matt Distill looking to get past his stablemate.
Yep. And now the floodgates have opened.
Trying to follow him through. Not going to do it at the course.
Dench will be waiting for that critical number, I reckon, and look to peel off and top up the tank and buy himself some clear real estate. I think that might be his only way back into the fight here at this point. Jared Knight's gone, 1.7 seconds up the road. Have a look at the argy-bargy, the aggro going on behind them. Cox down the inside on Nick Wood now. And moves into 5th place. Ferrari 2, 3, 4, 5. BMW's flanked that 1 and 6. And then the Ferrari trio of Hewitt, Holgerson and Hill. And then the third of the Bimmers in Alex Schmidt make up the top 10. Down the inside to turn 1. Matt Dench to 3rd. Gets the better of Matt Distill. Dench back up onto the podium and will likely stay there for the balance of the night now. Richard Mitchum out of the race. Out of business, unfortunately. That's breaking news for you. From 18th place, Richard Mitchum is gone. He started on pole position. He's run into 2 bits of trouble throughout the course of the opening 6 laps. He's parked up for the night. That's the big story from pit lane. And beyond that, not much else to report here at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. We only had 4 different manufacturers on this grid. No McLarens here, and we still had Mercs, we still had Porsches. Mainly Bimmers and Ferraris. At least they dominate the top 10.
Yeah, they certainly do. And Laguna Seca, it's a track that demands a lot of the car. And it's certainly a track that rewards a car with a stable rear end. You do not want to lose around going for the corkscrew. And the Ferraris, they generally are very nice handling cars, and I think we're seeing that pay dividends here. Not that the BMW was a bad handling car. That's David Christensen. Coming into pit lane from the so he'll let Chapman and Correa-Sar through. At some point, Chapman's got past Correa-Sar in that battle of the broadcasters. We then got Nick Wood here, so he's at the back of this leading group of 8 now. Holgerson passed him, as is Hewitt. Hewitt's up 4, so he's starting to make a bit of progress. Next up for him is Daniel Hill, the first of those barbecue racing cars, which are currently being led by Distill and have got a Denchi in the middle of them. Interesting to note that Simon Cox has fallen 2.3 seconds behind Denchi, so there is a gap opening up there between 3rd place and 4th place, which is not what Distill will want. He'll want Cox to be right behind Dench, putting the pressure on, making it harder for Dench to get a clean move on Distill in case he opens the door for Cox, but instead Cox is not able to maintain the pace of the cars ahead, and Denchi on his last lap putting the fastest lap of the race, a 1:21.8 compared to a 22.1 as the next best.
Lap 9 of 27, 1/3 of the way there, 1:21.848, the best for Matt Dench thus far. And we are 12 and a quarter minutes in to 37 minutes of racing. So when you look at the clock, 9 laps gone, 12:27 on the clock. It's going to work out just right, I reckon. Just nicely.
Well, it's a 35.
Hello,
it's a 35-minute race lap, but there's a 2-minute overtime variance.
Yes, and that overtime will be exercised to its full potential.
As you keep forgetting on Thursdays.
Well, as I'm happy to remind you on Thursdays, if the time's there, use it. But I take it you were watching last Thursday night, were you?
I caught up over the course of the weekend. Anyway, I didn't get to watch any live, but I caught up over the time.
No. Good boy. Firstly, I loved the observations from you the other day as well, from down there at Mount Panorama, even though I wasn't watching much of it. I only watched the Toyota 86 racing series, and congratulations to our good mate Ryan Casher on that note on winning the championship. But you were very observant in the fact that Barney wasn't in his post at Mount Panorama either. I did like that. Joe Baldwin didn't necessarily appreciate his stitch-up either. For those of you that don't know, playing along at home, Adam was very sheepish on the socials the other day, sending videos to everyone, and he sent one to Trucker and to a group of our GSRC members actually, showing the start straight and then waving the camera or turning the camera around and looking up past Murray's corner up Conrod and pointing to Joe Baldwin's grid position somewhere up there towards the chase. Which was greatly received by anyone not on the receiving end of the punchline, and at least Joe saw the funny side of it eventually. He did remind me of that on Thursday night. So it sounds like you had great fun, you and Trent and the rest of the crew.
Yeah, it was a good weekend. The race was a bit meh, but the weekend was good. Other than the rainy day. The rainy day was a bit cold and gave us a bit of flashbacks to last year, but at least it was only one day this year rather than all of them. So it wasn't too bad. But yeah, with Barney, so he was there to throw the green flag for the first practice session, and then he just walked off.
I get it.
Again.
I get it. Yep. No, very nice.
Now the motor race that's going on, we've got Matt Distill.
Sorry. Take us back in the right direction, Liam, please. In second,
and Denchi still putting pressure on him, but not able to find a way past. This is Christensen. He's going to find a way past David Johnson, who's just thrown it off the road. Manages to get it back on, but lost a lot of momentum. And Christensen takes probably the easiest pass he's going to have all night. Ahead of these guys, they've got quite a gap to Nick Wood, who's got quite a gap to Hooper. So Nick Wood, the first car, effectively not really in position because he's already pitted, and we are now hitting that critical lap where drivers can make a pit. It'll be interesting to see if Denchi does that or if he decides to go long. Jackson, Correa, and Hooper have all decided to pit, and Sam Chapman's decided to go long in that battle. The four of them were all pretty close on track. Chapman decided to go for the alternate strategy, go a bit further, so we'll see if that works out for him. But it'll be interesting to see who out of this leading 8 decides to pit first. There's no huge gaps in there. Biggest gap's about 3 seconds. All those gaps can be overcome for the end of the race with 16 laps to go, but they're going to need to get a move on. But if any of them has been saving fuel, this is where we're going to find out, and this is where we could see some changes in the order. In the 7 Ferraris making up the top 8, with the BMW at the head of them, being driven by Jaron Knight, one of the most capable drivers in the club.
16 laps to go, and nice to have you along for the ride.
Although we have to keep in mind,
Matt Dench sitting there in 3rd place at the moment, looming.
Potentially, most likely a penalty for coming Jared's way. We haven't seen confirmation, I think, but wouldn't be surprised if he has a little bit of a bill to pay.
Yes, that was that contact earlier, wasn't there? Yeah, I think you're right there. I would be not shocked if there was a penalty coming his way. And as this isn't F1, it will probably be something meaningful and not easily ignored. Also not easily
no spoilers
ignored.
Yet.
No spoilers, no spoilers. It's just a general spoiler for the entirety of the season and the entirety of the stewarding for the last about 10 years. But on screen we've got Denchi and Distill doing battle, and this is hard to take your eyes off because they have been within half a second of each other for the last 3 or 4 laps, basically ever since Denchi got past laps, and now 2 of them are together closing in on Jared Knight, because in fact still is actually putting the best lap of the race and is driving at a fantastic pace, matching Denchi blow for blow at the moment, and the two of them catching up to the back of Jared Knight just doesn't quite have the pace in the BMW. But is that delta between those two and 90 ahead going to be enough to affect an overtake? We can't be sure, and how our pit's going to play into this. If you're Jared Knight, are you thinking about taking that early pit stop and trying to guard against the undercut? What do you reckon, Zach?
Well, I'm actually surprised we haven't seen some more try for the undercut, to be honest with you, Ramsey. But it seems to be working at the moment for Distill and Dench to stay out there and play their trade and push Jared Knight all the way here. 90 holds the lead, but it's only half a second. A BMW slowly but surely being reeled in. That margin was sizably bigger a few moments ago, a few laps ago, but Distill and Dench have plowed away at it, applied their trade.
If there's
there with the 1 minute 21.561, the fastest
run
thus far, and he's got to run now, Matt Dench. Distill was slow out of turn 4. Dench to turn 5, goes to second. Look out, Jared Knight, the number one's charging after you now.
I was about to say...
Now's the time when we have that conversation, boys, about what Dench does strategically speaking, because we know that he'll want enough juice in the tank to have a proper crack at the purple sectors on lap 27.
Saying with the onboard here, if the Ferrari has anything with its new addition to the iRacing and being one of the freshest cars in the GT3 field, the drivers definitely aren't lacking any information on that dashboard. That dashboard has everything they ever need. It also has zeros because iRacing is secretive, but for Denchi, he's got everything he needs right there.
That's the joys of modern technology, Liam Banks. People question the relevance of sim racing and the realism of it, but as Adam Laver said, everything you need to know is right there.
Yeah, it certainly is, and there's evidence that the pace of this race right now is not too hot. That evidence, the difference in lap times across the top 10 drivers, bear in mind 10th at the moment is Sam Chapman, who's still very much learning his trade in the GT3. Not slow by any means, he's in the pro split, but slow in the pro split, if you're catching my meaning. Last lap, it was a 122.1 for Jared Knight at the front, and on the lap before this one, it was a 122.2 for Chapman. So the top 10 were all running at almost exactly the same pace, the fastest being 121.9, so there's only 3 tenths between the top 10. This lap, that gap has ballooned because Matty Dench got a bit of clean air, was able to put in a 121.6, showing some of the potential in the cars at this stage of the race. Light on fuel, tyres that are warm but not too warm because they can go a lot further than this, and with the current track conditions, compared to some 23s. So all of a sudden, after a lap where everyone did almost exactly the same pace, the pace differential ballooned out, partly because Dench was able to lower the benchmark by half a second, and a couple of drivers had scruffy laps. But it just shows you that there's two things going on. A, this race isn't at the ultimate pace that it could be. Matty Dench can show what the ultimate pace is. And 2, shows that a lot of the drivers in the top 10, a lot of drivers in the pro field, they can do those lap times. They can do really good lap times comparable to the leaders. They just can't do it consistently enough.
All right. Now the battle we've been waiting for. Knight v Dench. Originally we would have anticipated probably Mitchum v Knight, Mitchum v Dench, Mitchum in there somewhere, but we've got Knight and Dench instead after the demise of Richard Mitchum. We've got headlights on because we're getting closer to the back end of the day there in California. We're heading towards sunset. Have a look at the server time if we can, please, Adam Lavis, to remind everybody. As we get closer to the end of daylight, or the start of the end of daylight saving over there in the United States. That's what 6:15 looks like on the West Coast. Daylight saving ends, of course, first Sunday in November, I believe, in the United States. So we're not too far away from that. Yeah, of course, with winter just around the corner.
You'd probably like the States format even more than the Australian one, because Australia's 6 months on, 6 months off, whereas in the States it's 8 months on, 4 months off.
Well, that's right. I don't mind that at all. But I think it's only Phoenix, Arizona, that like Arizona as a whole, that doesn't observe it. So all the other, again, majority rules. Majority of the population observes daylight saving here in Australia as well. but there's one particularly stubborn state that needs to get with the program, because unfortunately for Darwin and WA, the time difference there already makes sense. In Queensland, it's just illogical and nonsensical. But anyway, fill up your bingo cards, folks. I know I've been a little bit slow off the market tonight. I'm actually in a semi-decent mood on a Monday for change. So I'll see how I go filling your bingo card up between now and stumps. Have a look at this. Dench there, but Knight driving nice and defensive. Oh, boy, there goes Timmy Fuge having a moment through turn 6. And here come the leaders out of turn 5. Up towards 6 now.
You might be able
Knight
to,
and Dench.
you might be able to chance this for me, Zach, and
Yeah,
feel
mate.
free to cut in if there's a move about to occur. We're seeing a lot of people go off track and recover it and not have too many issues. Have you noticed a big increase in that since they changed the behaviour of the grass, the gravel?
You make a good
the
point.
off-tracks in
Yeah,
general?
you make a very good point. For the most part, yeah. And so even though it slows you down somewhat, it keeps you in the race. It probably is a little bit more costly for, I mean, those small off-track skirmishes that are salvageable anyway, which way, that's more of an invoice, but it's the big ones where you'd normally be, parking up for the night and packing up and walking off for happy hour or an early shower or whatever. It's those ones that are frustrating. Here goes Dench down the inside. Matthew Dench again finds his way to the front. Very nicely done. 121.641 gets by Jared Knight. 122.27 that last time round played Knight's 122.6. And the number one, the Dench mark as we like to call him, is back in familiar territory. Lap 18 of 27. These last pit stops can't be too far away. This is what happened to Nick Wood whilst we're watching the move for the lead through turn 10. So, going back to Banksy's point, yeah, if it's grass and it's slowing you down a little bit more than it used to, grass used to just be, acceleration more than anything else. It used to gain speed on the grass more than anything else. But it's those big monumental ones where you'd be heading for the tyre wall and it pulls you up. It keeps you alive for the night. But you serve the invoice getting back on the track because, again, you're a lot slower. So it's probably those smaller ones that hurt more now because you lose more time on the grass. But for the greater good, yeah, it's keeping more people alive, which is good to see. And it's keeping more people active in the server. Pit lane activity now for both Jared Knight and Simon Cox.
Yeah, Knight, after losing the position to Denchi, thinking he's going to roll the dice, come in for the pit, see if he can undercut him and get that track position, that all-important track position, because Denchi's got so much pace. A 121.4 on his first lap in the air, stands a 122 for the rest of the field. In his own postcode at the moment is Denchi. The only hope is that Knight can somehow undercut him in the pits and get back ahead and then hold him up. I'll tell you what, Denchi will be bringing a sigh of relief because Distill and Cox were catching up to the front two. They got the gap down to a second. It looked like it was going to become a 4-car battle, which would have made Denchi's life a lot harder to go for the overtake, because then going for any overtake, you get it slightly wrong. You leave yourself open to being overtaken yourself. But instead, Knight made a small mistake going into the first corner, was a little bit wide. He had a nice wide entry, which isn't an issue in of itself, although it does invite a move down the inside. Denchi actually didn't look like he was going to go for the lunge, but then it was evident that Knight was just outbraking himself a little bit, couldn't bring it into the apex. Dench occupied that space and said, "Thank you very much, I'm in the lead and I'm driving away." On screen now, David Johnson.
Mate.
And I'll just, I'll left to get there. I'll just,
No, I was following a mouthful of drink, of hydration.
Just cover off the battle we were talking about a little earlier. We had Daniel Craiasar, Christensen and Sam Chapman all in pretty close proximity before the pit stops and Chapman went long. That seems to have worked for him. Chapman's up to 9th place, up 9 in this race. The biggest mover in the field now. And putting in decent lap times, 122.2s. Compared to 122.0s for most of those in the top 5. So he's managed to get past Hill, Schmidt, Christensen, Wood, Johnson and Craiasar, and I think Craiasar's had an incident or something. Something's not been gone right for him because he's fallen way off the back of Christensen.
Indeed. We continue on. Heading towards the last of the pit stops. It will be Matt Dench that is the last one into pit lane. I would suspect it would be this time by. There's a few that stopped on lap 19. That is still Wayne Hewitt and also Alan Holderson. And out onto the track now comes Daniel Hill. Everybody else is pitted. Everybody else is topped up to the checkered flag except for M. Drench. Let's wait and see. He'll be in pit lane this time by, I would imagine.
Well, I can see for Daniel is his stop was 3.5 seconds longer than David's.
Dench to pit lane at the end of lap 20 and should come out with the race lead, all being fair and equal. Jared Knight's worked his way to second, Simon Cox to third, Matt Distill to fourth, then Wayne Hewitt to fifth. 5 positions gained for him. Biggest mover of the night, and he's gone relatively unnoticed so far on the broadcast, is our other broadcast colleague, Sam Chapman, up 10 spots into 8th place. There he is, on screen now in the KFC finger looking good livery. And it was last time I had it, the old Bird KFC, not bad at all.
Yeah, that car covered in 10 secret herbs and spices, and they are Rob Hill, Daniel Hill, Smith, Christensen, Wood, Johnson, Coruscant, and Hooper, the cars that he has overtaken so far in this race. That wasn't 10, but I got bored listing them all out. But he'll be very happy with his performance, and even more so, he'll be very, very happy with his lap times. As we said last week, he's learning his trade in the GT3. He's promoted himself from GT4 into the GT3, and it finally looks like he's starting to get a hang of it, because his lap times, if he was doing these lap times all race long, he'd be well in that top 5 battle, and as it is, he's in 8th, and looking like he's about to put some pressure onto Jake Jackson if he can keep it on the black stuff, and hopefully he can until the end of the race, because he is well and truly cleared Rob Hill behind him and Daniel Hill, and of course the Hills, they were in the top 3 at the start of the race, and now they're behind old Chapo, who started in 18th, so it's a fantastic drive from him, and as much as he'll be happy with the places gained, I think he'll be even happier with his pace, because it just shows that he's really starting to understand this car. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next week for him. This is Daniel Carresa, our other colleague in the Side Hustle Racing Ferrari, and he's looking to put the move on David Johnson, who used to put on the GT3 Endurance Championship, and we thank him for all the work he's done behind the scenes at the Gentleman Sim Racing Club throughout the last few seasons. But now he's just focusing on his racing, and he's got to focus, because Correa is a handy little driver and will find a way past if you leave him much of an opening.
Right, 6 laps to go. The sun setting in California, what a beautiful sight that is. And still a later sunset than Queensland, but that's another story. As we head down towards turn 1. 6 laps to go. Matt Dench in complete control with a 5-second advantage over Jared Knight, who's now under serious pressure from Simon Cox. We were watching the battle for 15th there a moment ago with David Johnson and Daniel Correa, but we're back now watching the battle for 2nd and 3rd. BMW v Ferrari. Jared Knight, a lone soldier of the BMW fight at the moment. He's only got one other friend in the top 10, that's Sam Chapman. Jake Jackson, the only other different manufacturer other than Ferrari or BMW in the Mercedes, inside the top 10 at the moment. The first of the Porsches is David Christensen in 12th place. They are the only 2 non-Ferrari or BMW drivers left in the field, because Tim Fuge is parked up 3 laps ago. He's parked up for the night and done. And Richard Mitchum, of course, we've already detailed. Stephen Brooks, Dean Eldridge, and also Adam Holland were non-starters. Matty Drench punches out a 1:21.176, the fastest number of the night thus far.
That is a second faster than anybody else on the track. A second faster. That's a walloping. That's an absolute walloping. Of course, he does tend to do this at the end of the race, pulls out his true pace that he's been hiding for half the race, and that is demoralising for the rest of the field. I would have been looking and thinking, you know what, he didn't win the first race. The pace differential wasn't too bad in this race. They'd been pretty happy until then, and they would have gone, right, okay, work to do. Work very much to do. Any belief that will have been instilled in them after the race 1, well and truly banished in race 2 by the Dench mark. And this on the battle on screen is the battle behind them. We're going to do the F1 thing and tell you that the battle behind the runaway lead of the championship is really, really good, and will be really, really good all season long. And it's true. This is Cox and Knight, and Cox just smashed Knight in the behind. So that was less good, and I think Cox is pulling over and is going to let Knight back through, which is a spoiler thing to do. Cox just got it all wrong, got caught between outside and inside, didn't know where to go, and just went right up into the back of Knight, who hopefully will appreciate the sporting gesture from Cox to hand that position back.
Simon Cox, we're watching a replay here. Oh. Yeah, that's a fair old shunt. That is a fair old shunt. Coxie pulled over immediately, so that changes the game at the top end of town totally. Matt Distill, Wayne Hewitt and Alan Holgerson, the beneficiaries of that. Jared Knight now into 5th place, Simon Cox 6th. Matt Dench, what was a 5-second advantage, boys, is now ballooned out to 10. Thanks for coming, just write the check. See you next week. Matty Dench winning again.
Will be interesting to see when we chat to Denchi after the race, whether the first race was an all-out battle and just the guys actually got him on pace, or whether there was something, another part of the story that we need to find out about.
It will be interesting. You're right. You're right. As always, there's some always have some good analysis for us, Adam, which I very much appreciate. It will be interesting, and I'm sure Zach will tease that out in the very comprehensive. That's the word I'm looking for. Comprehensive post-race show that we always have here at the GSRC on a Monday night. It's helped when there's such quality racing to talk about. It's hard to put the toys away and let all the drivers get back to bed when there's so many storylines to pull apart in that post-race show. And Matty Dench always very generous with his time. And it's Sam Chapman launching up the inside of Jake Jackson. Beautiful move. Beautiful.
Into 7th, very nicely done. Gets the better of Jake Jackson. So 5 Ferraris, 2 Bimmers now in the top 7. Make it 6 and 3 as far as the top 10 is concerned with the Merc in there. The difference in Jake Jackson in 8th place. 3 laps to go. Dench on the way home. 2.5 for him. 10 seconds the margin. Distill 2nd. Hewitt 3rd. That is worth keeping an eye on in the closing stages. So too the battle between Jared Knight and Simon Cox. It's on again as well, but the battle for 2nd. These guys would battle for 4th a few moments ago before Knight and Cox came together, or Cox poleaxed Knight, whichever way you want to look at it. And now, of course, they are the battle for 2nd. They're the beneficiaries of the nonsense, the garbage that happened in front of them. Looking forward to getting Matt Distill's thoughts on this, actually, because we watched him with great interest in the AM split last term, of course. Now we're watching him in Pro.
I was actually going to say, before you actually noticed, I was going to say we've replaced one battle for 2nd for another, but this one was actually, this one here on the screen now is legit battle for 2nd, because before we had that question mark over Jared Knight's penalty situation.
Yep.
This one, as far as we know, this is a clean battle for 2nd place.
And it's going to rage right the way to the checkered flag. Jonathan Hooper is the last of the runners on track at the moment, down in 16th place. No one is a lap down of the 16 to the left running out there at the moment. There's a 3-way fight for the 11th between Daniel Hill, David Christensen and Nick Wood that will follow to the line if time permits. Matt Dench has just punched out a 121.123. 121.123. The man's insane. Absolutely freakish. He's just getting faster as the night goes on. The margin's now out to 11 seconds. Distill, Hewitt, no one else stands a chance. But at least there's promise in the Ferrari Cup at the moment that Wayne Hewitt was able to take a pole position and a race win away from Dench tonight. And again, as Banksy was saying, one of the things that we will be asking Dench when he jumps into the booth will be what was the difference between Christensen, very lucky, put 2 wheels in the dirt, didn't get sent, but he is going to lose position there. Nick Wood trying to get down on the inside. Christensen goes deep, too deep. Wood sweeps around the outside, puts himself on the inside, gets the job done. Christensen back to 13. Matt Dench is on the way home. Final lap here at Laguna Seca. Waste Options GT3 Pro on a Monday night.
Jake Jackson's in the lane.
Oh no, Jake Jackson on pit road. There goes your Merc representative in the top 10. Elevates the BMW of Nick Wood to 11th. The Ferrari of Daniel Hill in the 10th. And all of a sudden it's 7 Ferraris and 3 Bimmers in the top 10 now. And we're keeping an eye on Matt Distill. What has Wayne Hewitt got left in the tank? Has he got an opportunity? Will he begin granted, gifted an opportunity here, presented a chance to find a way by. Let's wait and see. Up the hill for the last time. Distill's driven a beautiful race here. Can he keep Wayne Hewitt at bay for just one more sector? To the corkscrew we go. Matt Dench will chalk up another W. He's third out of 4 so far this season in Waste Options GT3 Pro. It looked like he was being challenged tonight. He was. But in the feature race, when it mattered most, Dench finds a way back to the top step of the summit. Beautifully done. Matt Distill just has to get out of the last corner cleanly. It's a Ferrari 1, 2, 3 and 4, and Distill's going to hold off Hewitt. So Wayne Hewitt with the first and third, Matt Dench with the first and third, Wayne Hewitt with the pole position. It'll be interesting to see on countback with all the other bonuses up for grabs who wins the round, but it's going to be mightily tight between Hewitt and Dench. The first sign of any fight from the opposition so far this term. 4th to Holgerson, 5th to Knight, 6th to Cox, 7th to Chapman. That's a great fight from Chapo. Rob Hill and Daniel Hill make up the top 10. Hill just held off Nick Wood. And then Christensen, Correa, Sard, Johnson, Hooper and Jackson with that drive-through. Or that top-up for fuel, whichever it was. It was a stop at 3.42 seconds. It was a stop at 3.42, so that suggests to me that he needed a little bit more juice. And that has been the trigger for his downfall and demise here, and he finishes as the last of the runners in 16th place. Matt Dench on the last lap of the race. 1:21.071. How many times have we seen it, Liam Banks? This guy not just taking the checkered flag, but setting it, or taking it rather, by setting the PB on the final lap.
It's just the classic Denchi, right? It's the Denchi move. We expect it. If anything, it's just a shocker now when he doesn't do it. And he came within a whisker of getting a 1:20 dead, which really would have stamped his authority on the field. Next best fastest lap was a 1:25.61, so half a second quicker than the field, and certainly the most consistent in the 21s. I think a few drivers in the end actually posted times in the 1:21s, including Sam Chapman, which is nice. But nobody else consistently running in the 21s like Denchi was able to at the end of that race.
Brilliant stuff from Matt Dench. Gets the better of Matt Distill. It was 11.95. Let's round it up to 12 in the end. Then Hewitt, Holgerson, Knight. Good fight back. There's a little bit of question mark sitting over Knight and Cox at the moment, I would imagine. Chapman, Hill, Schmidt, Hill, the top 10. Nick Wood, 11th. Then Christensen, Correa, Sard, Johnson, Hooper and Jackson made up the finishing order. Ferraris, very present. Very prominent in the top 10. 7 of them. 3 Bimmers. First of the Porsches was 12th. The only Merc home was in 16th. What might have been, unfortunately, for Jake Jackson. Let's get Greg Heaney in here. Let's get Aidan Schultz in here as well. They're jumping in to have a chat to us from the AM split. We need to have a chat to them too, because we saw what Schultz did in race 1. Absolutely bloody tore it to shreds. We saw what Greg Heaney did as well, charging up through the field. Might go to you first, Greg, because we'll get to our colleague in just a moment. Hey, that Ferrari was on song in race 1, mate. We didn't see race 2. We'll get results up on screen from Adam Lavis in just a moment. But let's talk about race 1. Not the best result in qualifying, but by gee, you well and truly made up for it, didn't you? Up 13 spots, I think it was. Well done.
Yeah, so I was told. Thanks for the commentary and stuff on that one too as well.
You're most welcome, mate. But the Ferrari and you... sounds like a comfy fit at the moment.
Definitely. But I will admit there were a few freebies in there, but I'm not going to complain.
Well, that's exactly right. Sometimes you've got to be the beneficiary of someone else's demise. But in saying that, this is a tremendously difficult racetrack to get right. To keep it clean, you reap the reward, and you kept it clean for the most part there. We saw you in the thick of it in traffic, but you kept your nose clean. You worked your way through the field at your own tempo, and we were rewarded, I think it was 6th or 5th in that first race. It was quite a charge.
Yes, I was actually quite happy with it. Kept it on the black stuff and out of everybody else's car, so that's always a bonus. Kept it straight at the end.
And what about the Ferrari this season, mate? Are you enjoying the challenge of the new car?
Yeah, I am actually. It's a little bit different than the 488, but yeah, it's still good to drive.
And that's a little bit of a change up for you as well, isn't it, in terms of car? Because if I recall correctly, we saw you at the helm of that atrocious Ford GT at some point earlier in the year, did we not?
Yeah, it was second season I was driving the Ford GT. Not that there was anything wrong with the Ford GT.
No, nothing wrong with it. If anything, it's a very much an unloved car, but the differences between that and the Ferrari, there must be plenty.
Oh, night and day, to be honest. The adjustability of the Ferrari compared to the Ford is insane. So.
And stay with me, mate. I'm coming back to you in just a moment. We've got a couple more drivers jumping in to have a chat to us here, including Sam Chapman. But I want to go to Aidan Schultz firstly because, by gee, Sean Rees gave you a fair hurry along in race one, but you held your calm and cool nerve, my friend. Defended nicely and netted the W as a reward. Well done.
Yeah, thanks, mate. That was a good run, the first one. He definitely kept me honest, and I had to get the elbows out, but that was a bit of fun. It's good to be back up the front, mate, to be honest. And the good old iRacing baseline set comes out once again, and we're there. No, it was good, mate. It was a good night. I nuffed the second race, which obviously we'll go across and talk about shortly, but the first race was good, and that was a good race for the win, and he could have had a dive and probably had the pace, but it was a good race nonetheless.
I was going to say it looked as though both of you didn't get the best of that second race. Let's start with you, Greg, because we didn't get to see that second race. Obviously, we're focusing on the pro split for race 2. Just talk us through it from your perspective, what you made of it, what you enjoyed, and what you took away from it.
Well, happy with the top 6 finish. I only dropped 1 place overall, I think, off the whole race. So happy with that. Was contemplating taking tyres because I knew the setup I had in didn't really look after the front tyres. Opted not to, which probably cost me in the end. But still happy with the finish.
And Schultz, this is a tremendously difficult racetrack. We know that. We're seeing evidence of why on screen at the moment as we replay the pro race for you. Richard Mitchum had an absolute bloody shocker, unfortunately. But from your standpoint, we saw great success for Matt Dench coming through from 8th on the grid to win here. You had a harder task coming from 10th. It didn't quite go to plan. Just talk me through it.
Yeah, mate, up into second before the pit stops and only probably under a second off the eventual winner. And probably had the pace on everyone all night, to be honest, without wanting to sound a little bit, up yourself. But found it pretty good and just overdrove it sort of when I come out of the pits and burnt those fronts off and still come home with a P3. So coming in tonight, I wasn't expecting any of that, and to get a win in race 1 and a podium P3 in race 2, I'm happy with that, mate. You can't go wrong with that. And then coming off second in the Super 3s there in the supercars before we jumped into this, it's been 3 podiums in a row, so I'm happy with that.
It has been a good night. There's no doubt about that. One of your better nights at the office, actually. Although that being said, I'm just worried about how much we're going to hear about that on Wednesday night when you jump in with Daniel Correa-Sarr for the Downforce Legends and GT4. Stay with me. I'll get your thoughts on that in just a moment. But with regards to the night that was there and those results, mate, it's a good points haul. It gives you an opportunity to build on that. With 7 weeks to go, the Ferrari's got some good pace. Those top 10 inverts are usually a dangerous recipe for disaster because you invert that top 10, it only takes 1 or 2 people getting backed up and chaos ensues. It's imperative to keep your nose clean, stay out of trouble, and limit the damage, and you've done all of that tonight. So it must feel somewhat satisfying to be sitting here with that one ticked off, and you can focus on next week now.
Yeah, not really sort of focusing on the championship because I had a few issues, but mate, I've jumped into the Ferrari tonight. The new Ferrari, only bought it last week in advance to the Petit Le Mans that we ran last weekend. I'm usually in the Merc, so we can get one change of car in the series, and I did that tonight and did a lot of officials this week and won a lot of them. And like I said, I was running baseline medium downforce sprint. I didn't have a setup at all, so
So was I, Aiden.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
It is
bloody
actually
good. And
very
how good was that race, Joe? Man, that was so good at the end.
Sorry to take over the commentary here, Zach.
I was going to say I'm coming to you in a moment, Joe, but continue on.
Yeah, Aiden, that battle we had there, that I don't know about you, but for mine, that's probably one of the best battles I've had in the last 6 months, mate. That was, I've got to say, hats off to you. And thankfully for me, I probably just got the leg up a little bit at the end there, but mate, that was good fun.
Yeah, it was, mate. Like I said to Zach earlier in his comments, I just overdrove it coming out of the pits trying to catch the leader and just burn off those fronts. And I saw you coming. I don't know whether you took tyres or whatever you did, but you were quicker at some point. I had to let you go, and I did that, mate, and you did a great job. It was a great battle.
Yeah, thanks, mate. No, I enjoyed it. I could see you, you're faster than me before the stops, but yeah, I managed to pick it back up after that mistake.
Oh, here we go. Having a look at the upcoming races, gentlemen. Circuit de Jerez next up. I'll get your thoughts on that very shortly. In the meantime, Trucker, while you're here, stay with me, Schultzy. And also, Greg, I'll come back to you guys shortly. Circuit de Jerez, then on to Road America. 90 minutes at Road America before I head to Perth. That'll be fun. Then into Lagos, straight off the plane. Even better. Some good Monday night motorsport coming up on the platforms, the GSRC. We'll get through Jerez as best we can. Trucker, geez, it was all looking so good in race one, mate, and then you went and put it in the wall.
I did, yeah. I don't know how to actually... Well, actually, I do know I was a bit too aggressive on the turn-in, and it broke the rear loose, and apparently they fixed the fourth pedal in this car, and it doesn't work, because I counter-steered and held the throttle and the brake, and it just kept turning. So it was pretty frustrating. I noticed it in the wall, and when it stopped spinning, I was pointing the wrong way. So... yeah, a bit of a result gone missing. Probably would have been on for fourth in the first one. I was pressing for third, which would have been nice, but it's... I keep bleating that I'm really bad in this car. I actually picked up a bit of speed tonight, which is nice. So, yeah, bit of a change for me in GT3.
Well, Trucker, some of us were somewhat surprised to see you on the grid, knowing your views on GT3 in the past.
Well, I've got nothing else I can race on a Monday night now, but I was home early enough for the supercars, so that was a bit of a boon for me today. I had a reasonable result in the supercar and had an even better result here today. So it's I don't know what happened from last week. I was flailing around barely in the top 15, and I've been racing on this track since Scalextrics was a thing. It's one of the great tracks, Laguna, Seca, and just about every single sim or game has had it. So I've probably done 500,000 laps here in some form or another. So, but it's also a track that I enjoy, which helps,
Indeed, it is. Just while we got you, mate. The Mountain Men on Saturday night sound like more fun as per usual, and a nice appetizer to everybody's day on the couch yesterday.
Yeah, look, I was a bit surprised actually. I keep saying it's cars I'm not good at, but the LMP2, I don't know, something whatever, but I had a good night on the mountain. We unfortunately, for the first time I think since we've been having it open servers, we had what could be loosely determined as a bell end in the server, which he got ejected at a bit of an inopportune moment when he killed 3 guys in 2 laps. But it's the first sign of trouble that we've had in the when we've had open servers, so hopefully it'll be the last. But no, I was lucky enough to get pole, fastest lap and a race win, so I was pretty happy with that. But I don't know how many of the Saturday night races I'll get to this season. I've got a fair bit of stuff on between now and the end of the year, but hopefully we continue on.
Including a trip to Barbagallo in the next couple of weeks as well. Although I haven't
Barbagallo's on the cards.
I have not got a schedule for you as yet, my friend, but I'm working on it. It'll be on the long list of things that I've got to send on the email tomorrow morning to WA. But in the meantime, how nice to have it all over before dinner, Joe.
Yeah, definitely. I'm about to go out now and zap me tea and have a shower, and it's a bit warm in the sim here at the moment, so Gotta love the WA summers. So yeah, go and de-stinkify myself and bask in a good night of racing.
So, it turns out there is a positive to being over on the West Coast. Start at lunchtime, finish at dinner time, and everything falls in between just nicely. Hey, Trucker, I won't hold you up anymore, mate. Thank you for that. Go well. Will we see you for Jerez next Monday night?
Oh, you certainly will. I think I might continue on. Look, to be honest, I'd like to finish in probably the top 10 of the Opens or whatever, Dev 2, whatever it's called. And I'll be happy at the end of the season. So if I can go top 10 in this GT3, I'll be happy. So
yeah. All right, mate. Very nicely done. Go and enjoy some taco. We'll see you Thursday.
Thank you, Zach.
As well. Sam Chapman, good evening to you. We've got Matt Dench standing by as well. We're going to go back to Greg Heaney and Aidan Schultz in just a moment. Chapo, nice charge, nice hustle in that second race, my friend.
Yeah, so I'm pretty glad you didn't broadcast the first race because there's a reason why I was cutting through that trying to come back. But that was great fun out there. Wow.
What exactly went on in that first race, please?
What didn't go on in that first race? I'd stacked it on the formation lap. There's only 2 corners in the formation, but I managed to stack it somehow, so that was a good start. And then got myself a penalty for knocking into someone as well. So, bit of a messy one. But no, the second race was a lot cleaner. It was a lot more fun. It sort of just came to in the end.
It must have been nice to be able to salvage something out of it, mate. I mean, there were a few that fell by the wayside in that race, but you had to work hard, and strategy worked into your favour as you walked on through into 7th place, up 11 spots. So not all lost tonight.
All lost tonight, and this says I'm sort of just trying to get the hang of the car and that still. So it's all a bit of a learning process at the moment, and I'm pretty happy with that, all things considered.
Very nicely done, mate. How are you enjoying the challenge of the Bimmer at the moment? Because, I mean, it's a Ferrari-dominated field, but you Bimmers are, or you Bimmer cohort, I should say, you and Mitchum and Knight and a couple of others in there as well, are slowly but surely taking the fight to them. It looks as though, even though in the AM split it's Porsche v Ferrari, the top split is going to be BMW v Ferrari by the end of the season.
Yeah, no, I quite like the car. I've got a bit used to it. You've got to sort of, I don't know, not overdrive it. It's easy to sort of start shredding the tyres a little bit and losing a bit of grip. But getting the hang of it. Just need to do a little bit more practice around these tracks and get a bit more confident in hitting every apex.
And I mean, obviously you've had a race to forget in race 1, but overall it looks as though in the grand scheme of things, the Laguna and you work well together. You're a good combo.
Yeah, I love this track. I just love the way it flows, and when you get it right, it just feels awesome around here. Pity that didn't happen all that often tonight, but even if you get one of these corners right, you just hug the little sausage curb on the inside, and it just takes you around nicely. It's a good feeling around here. So, happy with Laguna Seca. We'll see it again for the Vs later in the season as well. So,
And what are your thoughts on Jerez, just quickly, before we go to Matt Dench? Because that is the next stop on the calendar. It is next Monday night. We're on the moto configuration, and it is another sprint round, so more invert racing to come. And to be fair, I mean, you weren't impacted necessarily by the invert tonight, but the 2 invert tracks so far, this and next week, Jerez, not necessarily the easiest for overtaking, so racecraft is king.
I mean, it'll be a good circuit for these, I think. I don't know who will come out on top. It's we don't have quite as many Porsches out as we did, because I think the officials, the Porsches were dominating around here. So I don't know what it will be at Jerez, but realistically, they're relatively well balanced.
All right, very nicely done, mate, as per usual. No, Benny's just tuning in and saying my internet seems like it's fixed. Oh, no, I'll tell you what it is. It's that I was on the PC I brought the PC with me to Cessnock for this trip, this visit to Mum and Dad's, and for whatever reason, the PC's not liking working off the Wi-Fi as opposed to the cable, because the cable's hooked to the wall up in Ipswich. So I plugged it into the laptop tonight for something different, and it's worked a bloody treat. So I think we've found the key to success going forward, if you know what I mean. Good on you, mate. Thank you for that. Chapo, what's next for you, please?
Six for me. We got GT4s on Wednesday, so looking forward to that. Missed last week, something else on, so good to be back in those. And then back in the Formula V's around Zandvoort. I'm sorry for leaving you high and dry on the broadcast as well on Thursday. No one to talk to, but that had to jump off. But wasn't that great racing though last week?
It was absolutely fantastic. Loved every second of it. Hey, thanks for that, mate, as always. Go and enjoy the rest of your night, and we will see you on either Wednesday or Thursday.
Thank you.
And very nicely done. Right, without further ado, Matt Dench, get in here. Let's have a chat to you, please, because I know Liam Banks was keen to ask you a couple of questions, and Adam Lavis as well. And apologies, Banksy, I've probably not included you in the conversation to this point as much as I should have for our first couple of guests. But let's pick it apart with the great man here, because it's the first time that you've really been tested this season, Denchy. But when it mattered most, when we got to the feature race, the champ finds his way back to the top step of the summit. So a third and a first, but it wasn't a straightforward night at the office.
Yeah, qualifying was a bit lackluster. We didn't really have enough seat time running around here to get used to the car on this track. But yeah, so qualifying was not usually where I am. And yeah, race one, we just sort of misjudged the line Mitchum was taking into turn one, and we just got into his back left quarter panel and spun him around, so we had a 5-second penalty there, unfortunately.
So a 5-second penalty, so that will be applied post-race, so that'll hurt you a little bit more with race one, yeah?
Well, I only lost one position to Distill, I think, so like we just swapped, so I ended up fourth in the first race.
Okay, so fourth. So that probably gives Greg Heaney the round. Well, not Greg Heaney the round. Who was it? Wayne Hewitt. Yes, that's right. Sorry, I'm just looking at Greg's name on the screen here in the Discord chat. So that'll give Wayne Hewitt the round because he had a first and a third with no penalties, and he also had obviously the pole position as well, mate. So qualifying. Why was qualifying a little bit lackluster? Because you've taken to this car like a duck to water. And tonight's the first time we haven't seen you on the front row in quite some time.
Yeah, I mean it's been a while since I've driven around Laguna. Yeah, haven't really ever driven the Ferrari here before, and yeah, we just quickly grabbed a set and we had 30 minutes to try and work it out, and yeah, we didn't really work it out until like the back end of race one. So.
And race two was, well, I was going to say race one was a challenge, but race two was more so of a challenge, mate, because obviously the Rd-3 back to the fourth row of the grid. But you just bided your time and waited for your moments, and the opportunities presented themselves. And before we got to the first round of pit stops, you'd found your way to the front. How hard of a hustle was that on a track that isn't notorious for overtaking opportunities, isn't known for them? And given how closely packed the field was tonight, how much of a challenge, how much of a task, an assignment was that for you to claw your way through the field?
Yeah, it's always difficult to get overtakes done around here, and I learnt my lesson in race one to not do it in the middle of turn one. Either send it in the braking zone or you wait. So yeah, we managed to grab a few spots down coming into turn one, and yeah, we just sort of picked our way through and saving a bit of fuel along the way.
Speaking of the fuel saving, that obviously allowed you to go one lap longer tonight. You came out with a 5-second lead. Then Jared Knight and Simon Cox come together, and you end up with a 10-second advantage. Must have been nice after the frustrating start of the night to have clear air at the end.
Yeah, I was just a little impatient race one, so yeah, race two, it's always much nicer. You got a little bit more pace than the cars ahead, and you can just save fuel and look after your tyres, so it works out well near the end.
Liam Banks, let's get some questions from you for the championship leader here.
It took you a little while to start moving through the pack at the start of this race. Was that deliberate, or were you just struggling to find opportunities to make a clean overtake? Because it seemed like you sort of stayed around that sort of 7th, 8th position for a while, and then all of a sudden you were up into second.
Yeah, it's like I've always said, it's really important to not slide the tires at all in the opening first few laps. So like the first 10 minutes, if you slide, like you're just gonna destroy your tire and not be able to like cool it down. And like the pace towards the end just sort of shows like how much of a benefit that can be.
You say that, are you judging the temperature off the tire pressures within the car, or just magic?
It's like a little both. Like the higher the pressure, the less grip you have, and the higher the temperature, the less grip you have as well. So if you can just try to manage, like if you slide, you're just gonna spike the temperature, and then the pressures go up. So it's just never good, especially early in the race.
So do you have a specific pressure that you're targeting in the car?
No, I just sort of go by feel. I don't really look down at the pressure.
Yeah, so you don't need to look down. So like when you get into that point where you don't need to look at the speedo because you know what speed you're doing, you don't need to look at it because you can sort of figure it out from how the car feels.
Yeah, that's right.
And you know, oh, my car doesn't feel as good. Well, I did slide the last 2 corners, so that's probably exactly what I did.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. And then that epic pace you showed at the end, where you're borderline getting down into the I forget the exact number, but another second below where everybody else was. There's no way you could keep that up forever, right? You're sacrificing a bit of tire heat on that last lap to be able to pull off these last lap wonders that we often see from you.
Yeah, so yeah, it's like because I look after the tires early on. Like you get maybe you can string like 5 laps together where you push really hard. Otherwise, you do like 1 push lap, 1 like easy lap, 1 push lap, 1 easy lap.
Excellent.
All right, very nicely done. Let's get your thoughts, and also Greg Heaney and Aidan Schultz's thoughts now, boys, on the Jerez circuit in Spain. That's the next stop on the calendar. That's the next assignment. We're looking forward to it this time next week. It's another sprint round as well. Denchi, I'll go to you first. It is an interesting racetrack. It's not everybody's cup of tea. The numbers haven't been terribly strong in GT3 Pro so far this season. It is dominated by Ferraris and BMWs. But again, we find ourselves at another racetrack where overtaking opportunities few and far between.
Yeah, really difficult track to pass on, but I really liked it when I drove it the last few seasons. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think the Ferrari should do pretty good. I think it'll be all right over the last chicane through if you like go aggressive over the curbing. So yeah, should be good.
Very nicely done. And so far so good for the Ferrari, mate. So it looks like you're on the cusp of being able to tick that box as well. So what have you noticed between, I guess, obviously we've seen you in an Audi in the past, we've seen you in a Lambo this season, the McLaren as well. What have you noticed between the Ferrari and those cars?
The Ferrari is lacking like quite a bit of rear grip, so you got to be pretty gentle with that throttle pedal, really.
Very nicely done. We'll let you go at this point, mate. Thank you for that. Well done tonight. Congratulations. Eventually finding your way back to the top step of the summit. And interestingly, more to the point, it was the first race of the invert night that was the Achilles heel this time around, not the second. So, I mean, you're still not out of the woods yet. There's still a little bit of grey area there with this format of racing. But thankfully, once we get to round 5 to Road America, a bit more familiar territory and the formats you're more comfortable with. Looking forward to seeing what you bring to the table next week, mate. Thanks for that.
Yeah, no worries. We'll see everyone.
And probably a GT4 outing between now and then, Denji?
I think we'll park up the Mercedes and bring out maybe a McLaren or something. But Mercedes is just terrible. So.
All right, very nicely done. Thank you, mate. Appreciate it. Go well. And we'll press on at this point in time with Greg Heaney and Aidan Schultz. I want to pick Schultz's brain with regards to Wednesday night as well, Greg. So I'm going to go to you first, and then we'll finish things up with Schultz here. Jerez, new racetrack, different kettle of fish. Again, as Jenshi said, challenging. What are you most looking forward to or not looking forward to about it, please?
I'm actually looking forward to Jerez. Did it in the GT Enduro last season, I think it was, when iRacing was running it as an official. Quite happy with the track. Definitely happy that it's the moto configuration as opposed to the GT configuration. It means it doesn't have that horrendous chicane at the back end of the track. So yeah, no, I'm actually quite looking forward to it.
All right, mate. And what else is on the agenda for you as far as sim racing is concerned between now and then, please?
I've got another couple of leagues I'm in. So Sunday nights and Tuesdays and Thursdays, running with the guys in Stone Cold and the guys in football. So a bit of fun days on the Tuesdays and Thursdays. So, and then
right,
some
mate.
officials in between.
All right, very nicely done. You're a busy boy. That's good to see. Great to have you stop on by for a chat. We appreciate that, and look forward to seeing you in action. Adam Lavis, just before you go, Greg, is it race 1 or race 2 for the M Split next week? Is it the same format this week, or are we going to reverse it around and do their feature?
Same format.
Same format. So you guys will be race 1, pros will be race 2. Go well, Greg. Thanks for that, mate.
No worries. Cheers, guys.
Schultz, let me start with the racing side of things, mate. 2 good races coming up next week, of course. We go, I think it's Road America next week for the Super 2 and Super 3, and then, of course, on to... Sorry, no, Road America's 2 weeks' time. It's Watkins Glen Boot next week. So get your thoughts on that. I've seen you around there in a NASCAR. I know you won't be too fussed on... you won't be too disappointed that that's where we're going to next. But then also... GT3 Jerez. It's going to be another busy Monday night.
Yeah, most definitely, mate. GT3 at Jerez, European style track. Definitely my type of driving circuit. So we'll see how we go. I'm more trying to just get over how I went tonight, to be honest. I have 2 podiums, so albeit in the Pro-Am, but yeah, it was good to go. But looking forward to a rest from both splits on the GSRC. It'll be really good. The racing tonight, I can't wait to go back and see what the Pro split did and what the racing was. But I can tell you the Pro-Am split was amazing in that second race tonight. It was some great racing. So looking forward to that one next week. Of course, too, we've got Wednesday night motorsport as well coming up. But before we talk about that, Zach, I just need to quickly jump in.
Yeah.
It's not broadcast, but Ben and I are looking after the up-and-comers here on the GSRC, and we've been averaging about 15 or 16 people so far, and it's been some great racing. So we're going MX5 racing around Oran Park tomorrow night, so that's going to be a good one.
Very nice, and of course the Super 2, Super 3 next week from Watkins Glen. The GT3 from Jerez. And before we get out of here, my friend, Wednesday night. Firstly, how are you enjoying being in the anchor seat? And secondly, what can we look forward to on Wednesday night? The GT4s are going around again in the main slot, the main course prime time portion of the program. And then in the entrees, an old GSRC favourite, the Radicals, the Downforce Legends.
Oh, mate, if it's anything in what we've seen this season so far, it's been great. Obviously, we come off Long Beach around in the Radicals, which was a little bit of mayhem, but we can expect that with the concrete walls there at Long Beach. But it was a good race, and then we went to GT4s as well, which was a sensational race. So looking forward to bringing you all the action here on the Gentlemen Sim Racing Club streams for the next round of the GT4s and the Radicals on Wednesday night. And it'll get me out of the car for a night, which will be good. So that'll be good. Makes me stop crashing. So that'll be good.
I love it. And I know you're enjoying being part of the GSRC framework here, mate. So when we don't see you in race control and we don't see you on track and we don't see you in the commentary box, is there anything left for you to do that you're not already doing as part of the club?
Mate, just a committee member. Of course, obviously they're supporting the club, mainly doing the GT3s, of course. Me and Ben, as I said, or Ben and I rather, we're looking after the up-and-comers. That's a really good thing on the Gentlemen Sim Racing Club. If anyone's looking at jumping in and sort of learning their racecraft, we've set that, well, we haven't set that up. That is there from Gentleman Sim Racing Club, but we're taking control of that this year. And we've got a really good track and car configuration, and we're all in the Discord together chatting while we're racing. Nice, relaxed, totally different to the environment tonight. My racing, GSRC in the GT3s. Of course, we'll be going across. I won't be able to do GT4s. I'm pretty much only the up-and-comers and GT3s at the moment. I don't really have much more time. So I do a little bit of racing outside of that. We've also got, we just come off the Petite Le Mans that we run as well, Zach. So we did that, which was really, really good. It was the one that got away from it. We still had a good race, and yeah, mate, just enjoying my racing, a part of the club. And I tell you what, the racing tonight, and Joe even said that in the broadcast earlier, the respect everyone has and how they drive around each other is great. And hopefully it shows that on the broadcast, and people get a little bit of excitement to be able to watch people race. But mate, I'm just coming off a higher tonight, to be honest. You've called out on me so many times of crashing, and I don't know if I was on the broadcast to win race 1, but I know you went to top split for race 2. But mate, it's been a great night in the office for me. I'm still coming off a high.
Yes, you will be happy to know that we did call you across the line in race 1, my friend. So you can go back and relive that at any time you like. But no, you're right. You have had your fair share of war stories so far. Everyone has them. Everyone goes through a rough patch here and there. But at least at long last, you've finally got the monkey off the back and got a win on broadcast, mate. So we're happy to see that. We're happy to hear from you. We're looking forward to your insights on Wednesday night, and looking forward to seeing you on the grid, hopefully on Thursday as well. But in the meantime, thanks for your time tonight, and thanks for sticking around for a chat post-race. We appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries, mate. And I just need to give a big shout out quickly before I let you guys go. Quantum Motorsports and the Golden Octopus Foundation, we do support. We're sponsored by the Golden Octopus Foundation, which supports kids with cancer. So I just need to have a big shout out to them guys. So just take that little pun there, but can't wait to bring you all the action here on the GSRC streams on Wednesday night. And can't wait, mate. Thank you for doing everything, and we'll see how we go on Wednesday night and go from there.
And thanks in advance to you two blokes for covering for me while I'm in Western Australia, and God knows where else I'm going in the next short while as well. I do appreciate that.
No commitment. Come on.
Yeah. No, trust me. There's part of me that always feels bad when I'm not in the broadcast booth on a Monday or a Thursday night, even a Wednesday night. But you've got Wednesdays well and truly covered. I have said that I'll come in for grand final night later in the season once things settle down at my end. And looking forward to it immensely. Good on you, mate. Thanks for that. Liam Banks, before we let you go and before we let everybody else go, since Sam Chapman's still here, next round of the Endurance Championship is still a couple of weeks away, but entries will be flooding in very shortly, I'm sure.
Absolutely. The Endurance Championship, I wasn't there for the last round, so Sam will have to speak to...
No, you weren't there for the last round. You are, right.
But Zach was. So he's the guy at the intel here, because I rocked up 5 minutes late anyway. So
well, that's right. There's the next round of the championship on your screen, ladies and gentlemen. 6 hours around Road America. I'd love to be here on that occasion, boys, but I'll be commentating the Postie Bike Grand Prix about 7 minutes in town from where I'm at the moment, here in Cessnock, and looking forward to that immensely. Next round of the GSRC GT3 Endurance Championship with the hypercars logged in there for good measure as well, with thanks to login systems. Sunday, November 5. 3 weeks later, we back it up and go to the Nürburgring. That'll be 4 hours around, just the Grand Prix course. Okay, no worries. And then on to the Circuit de la Sarthe for 6 hours to finish the season on Sunday, December 17. We'd also like to be here on that day, but I'll be attending a charity car show here in Newcastle as well. So that's what you've got to look forward to as far as the GT3s and Le Mans hypercars are concerned in the Endurance Championship, with thanks to login systems on those 3 Sundays. November 5, 26 and December 17 on the platforms of GSRC throughout the rest of 2023. So, night 1 of week 3 of term 4 is done and dusted. We do it with thanks to the great people scrolling across the bottom of your screen as per usual, and we couldn't do it without these people, so it's vitally important that you support the people that support us. Their support is integral and it's greatly appreciated. Orbit Australia, Waste Options, and also the great people at Login Systems. Player One Sim Gear, terrific to have them back on board. And then back we go to Lobesy Racing. Great to have Trent Lavis on board, sponsoring the club this season. I think that's fantastic. Shows that everything's going nicely at his end. M-Wave, of course, thanks to Daniel Correa-Sar for making that liaison, that connection, that contact. And also Flash Graphics as well. Johnny Simpson, a long-time mainstay supporter of the club. Right, let's have a look at what's coming your way as far as week 3 is concerned, because there's plenty on the agenda. There's no doubt about that. As Aidan Schultz said, for the up-and-comers tomorrow night, you're off to Oran Park. You're in the Mazda MX-5s. It's followed by, this will be good, Lime Rock Park. How about that? 35 minutes around there, 9:40 Eastern Daylight Time. And it's important to note, all times shown above are Australian Eastern Daylight Time, and rightly so. Hello to our friends in Queensland. Lime Rock Park, the Civil War continues in GT1. Wednesday night, Downforce Legends, Okayama. 7:45 Eastern Daylight Time. 2 sprint races, the order of the equation there, and we continue to Road Atlanta for 2 sprint races in the GT4 Championship with thanks to Orbit Australia. That's getting underway 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Thursday night, main course, Formula V from Circuit Park Zandvoort, 7:45 Eastern Daylight Time. 3 sprint races there. We top it off with some dessert for you, ladies and gentlemen, from the Sandown International Motor Raceway in Victoria. And that'll be a 40-minute race for the Porsches from 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and expect them to come from out of the woodwork and under the clouds to contest that one, because the Porsche fields have been somewhat lackluster so far this season, but Sandown's always worth a few more bums on seats. Friday night, we can't broadcast this to you anymore. Now, just make a note of this as well. AEDT for Friday and Saturday night, that's being edited as we go. We get stuck into the round from Donington Park for the IndyCars, 45 laps there. Saturday night, the Legacy Gelaras from the Mount Panorama Circuit for Mountain Men, 8:30 Eastern Daylight Time. And then, of course, on Monday night, we get week 4 underway when we head to Watkins Glen, the Cup Circuit configuration for the Player One Sim Gear Super 2 Series, and that's over 25 minutes before we head to Circuit de Jerez for the latest round of the GT3 Championship with thanks to Waste Options. M-Split first up, Pro Split second up, and the second of 4 sprint rounds throughout the course of this season. Liam Banks, final thoughts from you?
Final thoughts. Really nice to see the amateurs in the GT3s. Shame we didn't get to see Wayne Hewitt take victory in the sprint race for the GT3s. That would have been lovely to see. Lovely to see someone other than Denchi take the win. Denchi masterful on the GT3 main course, and the racing in the Super 2 was an absolute delight and a surprise. I wasn't sure what to expect from them around Phillip Island, but boy did they really smashed out the park.
They certainly did. They've kept us on our toes for the last 3 hours. We hope you've enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you on the platforms of the GSRC. Before we go quickly, there's the updated championship standings. Well done, Adam Lavis, working on the fly tonight. 186 for Matt Dench, 45 clear of Matt Distill. Wayne Hewitt just 2 points behind that, and then a further 8 points back to Simon Cox. So, Ferrari 1, 2, 3, 4, no surprise there. 10 points separate second and fourth. How good's that going to be going forward in the weeks and months ahead on the platforms of the GSRC? Nick Hewitt rounds out the top 5. Jake Jackson, despite some misfortune tonight, still flying the flag for the Mercs, the only non-BMW or Ferrari inside the top 10. And do we have the M-Split as well, Adam, or not? No. Okay. So it's just the pro update for you. We're done and dusted on the platforms of the GSRC. Hope you've enjoyed it across Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube on a Monday night. It's been a mainstay tradition for some time now, and we hope it goes for a little while longer yet. On behalf of the entire broadcast commentary and production team here from the virtual Laguna, Seca, and the virtual Phillip Island before that, on behalf of Liam Banks, Adam Lavis, all the crew, thanks for coming along for the ride. Hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you. We had 3 different race winners in our broadcast races tonight, and I don't think we saw any double-ups across the M-Split or the Pro Split, so 5 different winners across the board tonight. Make it 6 with Super 3 at Phillip Island as well. So Variety's the spice of life. Everybody's, shared in the love tonight. We've greatly enjoyed bringing it to you. Until Schultzy and Daniel pick it up on Wednesday for you with the Radicals and the GT4 series from the crew, I'm Zach Caban. Have a great evening, everybody. Bye for now.